As time ticks down on the 2012 season, the Nats are sitting pretty. And yes, in many ways, a young child has led them. The Nats with a 7.5 game lead in the National League East with just 3 weeks to go in the season. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Washington Nationals. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling join me in just a moment as the Mets wrap up their homestand, trying to get a victory against the Washington Nationals, who've taken the first 2 games of this series. And as the Mets stagger toward the finish of the season, the Nationals are sitting on top in the National League East, looking for their first playoff appearance as moving to Washington. They've got a 7.5 game lead over Atlanta. And one of the reasons why is a 19-year-old. Last night, Bryce Harper became the first teenager in 16 years to put together a 4-hit game. And really, ever since he arrived, Keith, Harper has brought a special dimension to the Nats.
Well, he got called up the 22nd game of the season for the Nationals. They were 14-7 at the time. But I've talked to a lot of the people in the Washington organization, players. He brought an electricity to the ball club. Some of the veterans said that he runs everything out so hard that they felt that, gosh, I better bust it. I'm not playing as hard as this young man. He's very even-keeled. They love him. They've taken him under his wing. He's a wonderful kid. Plays the heck out of center field. And listen, you know, he's 19 years old, and we're talking about an all-time list. He's third on the all-time list in home runs for a teenager, behind Tony Conigliaro with 24 and Mel Ott with 19. This young man is one shy from tying Mel Ott.
And like every rookie, he's playing in September for the first time, and that applies also to Matt Harvey, the Mets starter tonight. Harvey will have 2 more starts, including tonight's game, and as he continues to make progress.
Well, I think the great thing, talking to Terry Collins today, he said, he was asked, do you need to see any more about Matt Harvey to know whether he belongs in this rotation? He said no. I don't see anything that would keep him out of the rotation for next season. The one thing they want to see, though, going down the stretch in the last 2 games, is that he's able to apply what he's working on in the bullpen, apply it in the game. It would really be a good test for him today, have a big game against these first-place Nationals.
This was to have been Steven Strasburg's last start of the year, but he was shut down early, and so John Lannon, the former opening day starter for the Nats, makes just his 3rd start of the year.
You know, he had won the most games for the Nationals the last 2 seasons. He was 9-11 in the minor leagues, but when he came up for 2 big doubleheaders, he won both of those games for the Nationals.
So it's the Mets and Nats wrapping up the homestand for New York. Mets trying to do some business at home. It's been a rough sledding for them. Mets and Nats, all the action coming your way tonight on SNY. By the all-new Mazda CX-5 with 35 highway miles per gallon. By Looper in theaters September 28th. By Bank of America. And by State Farm. Tonight's State Farm agent of the day is Alan Wheeler of Brooklyn. Contact Alan's office at alanwheeler.biz. The Mets 50th anniversary collector's set is a stunning DVD celebration of Mets history, World Series films, season highlights, and celebrated games. Order your 10 DVD anniversary gift set at Mets.com. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule presented by Astoria Federal Savings. You can listen to all Mets games on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Mets are going to Milwaukee to play the red-hot Brewers, who've won 17 of their last 22 and are just 4 games out on the wild card. Mets then go to Philadelphia. The Phillies won this afternoon. They're just 3.5 back in the wild card. That series here at Citi Field, the start of the last homestand of the year. Phillies, Marlins, and Pirates. Matt Harvey making the start tonight for the Mets, trying to put a dent in the Nationals Express. Mets and Nats, first pitch coming up from Citi Field. To you by Scott's. Visit MLB.com/fan guide to register for a chance to win a VIP experience for 2 to a 2012 World Series game presented by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. There's the Hyundai starting lineup for the Nationals tonight. A rest for Michael Morse, a rest for Danny Espinosa, so Roger Bernardina and Steve Lombardozzi find their way into the lineup for the first time in this series, as the Nats, who have taken all 6 series from the Mets this year, go for the sweep tonight.
Well, it's really nice of the people from Caesars in Atlantic City to give us some Matt Harvey stats for the season so far this year, Gary. The thing you see that you love is the 20 walks and 53 strikeouts, and 7 of his 8 starts he's given up 3 earned runs or less.
I might rather get some chips from them, to be honest with you. Than statistics.
The black ones?
Yes.
All right,
like
there
to
it
take
is.
care of the defense
Whoa,
for us?
excuse me.
Wow.
He's dreaming of a stack of
I was
chips.
looking for, yes, I was. The Lexus Mets defense. Okay, where do we go here? Duda at first base. How about that? And Bay gets another start out in left field. Torres, he's the guy in center. And Cedeno was playing against left-handers. He's at second base. So there you have your Lexus Metropolitan defense.
Thought for a moment that Keith was listening to Sweeney Murdy.
I don't feel alone anymore.
It's getting late. Matt Harvey making his 9th major league start. His last start in St. Louis, he had the one bad inning against the Cardinals. He gave up 4 straight hits and 3 runs. Had some other trouble to pitch out of in that start, which he did, which we've seen a lot of from Matt, his ability to work through damage. So he allowed just 3 runs in 5 innings en route to a 5-1 loss, facing the Nats for the first time. First of what you can assume will be many times.
Well, you know what, though, Gary, this is a nice start for Matt here. He's facing the #1 team, maybe the #1 team in the National League, and you would love to, out of one of these 2 starts, to really put up one of those memorable historic games.
He'll get the start tonight. He'll get his last start against the Phillies next week. His first pitch of this game to Jason Worth is a fastball that misses somewhere, and Joe West has already made his mark on the game. Joe may have the smallest strike zone in the major leagues. So what might have been a first pitch strike was not. And that one is 1-1 to Worth. Worth 2 for 5 in this series, hitting .310 on the year. And there is the umpiring quartet. Joe West calling the balls and strikes. Young Mike McClinsky at first. Sam Holbrook and Rob Drake rounding out the crew. Worth had a terrific night last night, as he seems to always do against R.A. Dickey. He was on base 5 times in a row last night with 2 hits and 3 walks. Worth, who has found a home as a leadoff hitter, now has a .399 on base percentage for the season. I mean, you would have thought, watching Worth over the years, that he was just too much of a free swinger, too much of a guy who strikes out too much to be a leadoff hitter.
And he went into a bigger ballpark. He had a lot of power to the other field. Philadelphia, Citizen Bank Park, was made for him with that short right field porch and the shorter dimensions. Last year, just a horrible year for him with the big money, the first year of that big contract.
And Harvey gets him on strikes. First out of the night is a strikeout for Harvey.
Interesting pitch here. Looks like he's trying to cut that fastball. It stayed true down the middle, but still fooled Worth.
Harvey's averaged 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's 54 strikeouts now in 47 2/3. Here's Bryce Harper, who had a huge night last night with 4 hits. First teenager to get 4 hits in a game since Andrew Jones 16 years ago.
Well, upon his surprise start last night, he basically said after the game that he had the right approach. He said, I just offered the knuckleball. He said, I looked fastball, 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Harvey. I just looked fastball and tried to go up the middle. That's the only thing you can do off a knuckleball.
Davey Johnson said after the game, I needed for him to prove to himself that he could hit the knuckleball, because after all, he's going to be facing Dickey 4, 5, 6 times a year for the next season at least, and perhaps long beyond that. 1-1 to Harper, who's hitting at .265, 18 home runs, and that sails outside. A changeup from Harvey, and it's 2-1. Ryan Zimmerman waits on deck. The Nats now 88-54, the best record in the majors, as Harper slashes one foul, and it's 2-2. And that's an early hot sauce designation. It's the Cholula flamethrower. Now, how come 97 was the flamethrower and the 98 that came before it wasn't?
Maybe they were asleep in the truck.
There's a lot of that going around. 2-2 from Harvey to Harper, and it's in there for a call strike 3, and Harper knew it. Back-to-back strikeouts for Harvey to start the night.
Another cutter slider. Watch this ball in the outside part. Cuts it just enough to slide it back over the outside corner of the plate. Left-handed hitters give up on it.
Perfect, right on the corners.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Ryan Zimmerman. By the way, Matt Harvey in his last start against the Cardinals got to 50 strikeouts for his career in 176 batters. Only 3 Mets have ever gotten to 50 strikeouts faster. Those 3, Pedro Martinez, Doc Gooden, Nolan Ryan. Select company. Well, so it has gone for Harvey through this early portion of his major league career. Zimmerman hitting at 286. There's a 15-game hitting streak going, and he takes up and away 1-1. Not only that, he has driven in a run in 8 straight games, which matches the franchise record last achieved by Vladimir Guerrero back when the Nats were the Expos. Two and 1 to Zimmerman. Those numbers impressive. He'd like to get those walks down a little bit. Walked 3 in 5 innings in his last start. And Zimmerman pops one foul, and it's 2-2.
It's probably the most impressive thing about Harvey so far since coming up. Hitters and fastball counts still not able to catch up. That being said, first time around the league for young Harvey.
Now the 2-2 to Zimmerman. And he struck him out. Matt Harvey strikes out the side in the first inning. An impressive start for the rookie in his second to last start of the year. He gets Worth, Harper, and Zimmerman. Interesting that Lucas Duda gets a start against the left-hander and at first base. First start he's made at first base for the Mets this season, as the Mets square off against a guy they've seen a lot of over the last number of years, but not for a couple of seasons, in John Lannan.
Well, John in his career is 40-51 with a shutout. The stats presented, of course, by Toyota.
Lannan now 27 years old. Grew up not far from Citi Field in Long Beach. Went to Chaminade High School in Mineola. Ruben Tejada's had a nice series, 4 hits and 7 at bats, has his batting average back up to 295. And it would be a terrific goal for Tejada to try and get back to 300 before the end of the year. You know, it's hard enough to maintain your average over 300, but once you've dipped below, I would think, Keith, it's got to be awfully hard to get it back there in the waning days of the season.
Well, you don't, if you're within the striking distance, and certainly Tejada's 5 points right now, and this time of year normally it's hard to raise your average, let alone drop. You really have to have a real red hot streak or really bad slumps. But he's missed a lot of season. It's close to 400 at bats. He can get there. He's within striking distance. A lot of time. It's something that's on your mind. Everybody wants to hit 300.
Here's the 2-2 to Tejada, and it's low and away. Now, in 1982, I know you had bigger things on your mind because you guys were going to the postseason, but you finished at 299 that year. Now,
yes.
Was that dropping late, or were you scrambling to get there?
I finished strong. I had I don't think I had a great first half, to be honest with you.
Toward the middle of the diamond, Desmond runs it down with a nice pickup and throws out Tejada one away. Neatly done by Desmond.
Nice play by Desi, and his throwing problems are pretty much over. He's really, remember when he first came up, he was had a strong arm, but all over the place, and he's really become much more accurate.
A little bigger glove than you see by the normal shortstop.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Ronnie Cedeno, who was a late addition to the lineup. Daniel Murphy was in the original lineup, but was scratched because of a stiff back. And Cedeno takes a strike. Ronnie 1 for 3 in this series. It's a shame for Murph because right now he's the hottest hitter in the Mets lineup. And Cedeno pops one up into right field, and Jason Worth is right there waiting. And quickly there are 2 out. So David Wright will bat with 2 out and nobody on. David 2 for 7 in this series, has a 6-game hitting streak going, and is now just 11 hits away from catching Ed Kranepool for the Mets all-time hit record.
About that on-base percentage right at 400. You'd like to end with that over 400, right?
Yes, and always 90 RBI was always a ceiling for me. Not a ceiling, a goal. That and 90 runs. Well, I knew we'd get around to it sooner or later. It's the Coors Light National defense, and you can see right there, a strong arm from Harper can cover a lot of ground. Not only can hit and run.
And Wright has a base hit. That gets him within 10 of Kranepool. His 160th hit of the year, and the Mets have their first base runner of the night.
Nothing better when you're hitting 312 like David is. You got to hit in your first AB.
So now Scott Hairston, who has homered in each of the first 2 games of this series, a pinch hit home run last night. Mets have now hit 10 pinch hit home runs, just 2 shy of their club record. The downside of that is generally you set pinch hitting records in years when you're not playing very well.
Yeah, you got to pinch hit a lot. Behind in games.
Nonetheless, Hairston with 3 pinch hit home runs this year and has 17 overall, which matches his career high. 3rd time he's gotten to 17 in his career.
When was the record set?
82 or 83.
That makes sense.
One of those.
Yep.
One of those not so great years. 83. There goes Wright. The pitch outside. The throw by Suzuki is too late. And David Wright has his 13th base of the year.
Off-speed pitch 2, a little sinker. David just too good a jump.
So with the Mets struggling for runs, Wright trying to make something happen. He's in scoring position with 2 out. And 2-0 count to Hairston with Lucas Duda on deck. Landon has made 10 prior starts against the Mets. The first 5 were awful. The last 5 were great. His last 5 starts against the Mets, 3-1, 1.95. But the last time he faced the Mets was April of 2010. So it's been a while. One strike, and it's 2-2.
He's not a strikeout pitcher, but his best game as far as strikeouts came against the Mets. I think he had 11 in one game.
And he's never had more than 8 in any other game in his career. I think it was the adrenaline of coming home.
Of course.
He always has a lot of family and friends here when he pitches at Citi Field. Hairston fouls one at the plate.
I like Landon. I think Landon is a very capable guy. You know, he's certainly not a guy you want
a pitching opening day like he had the last couple of years. But he's a guy who throws strikes, works quickly.
He's made more starts than any pitcher in Nationals history, going back all the way to the start of the Nationals in 2005. And it was stunning to him when he was sent to the minors at the end of spring training, and he suffered badly early in the season, pitched very poorly early in the year, but finished very strong, had 2 shutouts his last 2 games in AAA. But along the way this season, he was called up twice in doubleheader situations and pitched pretty well both times. Well, he got a win each time.
I think you're surprised also as Lucas Duda's on deck, because he's making some serious glue, right? You know, when you're making $5 million, you figure you're going to stay with the big club.
But it's just a testament to just how strong the Nats rotation has been all year. 3-2 to Hairston is bounced foul. I mean, they had Chen-Ming Wang in the rotation earlier, and I think that was a really cruel blow to line, in that they were giving Wang a chance before him. And then when Wang fizzled out, they put Detweiler back in, and again, Lynam was left behind. So he's got a lot to prove coming down the stretch here, that he belongs, whether it's with the Nats or somebody else next year. Now 27 years old. Yeah, that's on the inside corner. Hairston caught looking. And the Mets are turned aside in the bottom of the first. First strikeout for Lynam. No score after 1. Priced tickets. Kids 12 and under will get free admission to Mets games in September. Call 718-507-TIXX or get to Mets.com/kidsfree for tickets. Mets have 1 large homestand remaining after tonight. 10-game homestand beginning on Monday against the Phillies. Adam LaRoche leads off in the second against Matt Harvey, who faced 3 batters in the first inning and struck them all out. So that would mean that Mr. Harvey's on pace for 27 strikeouts tonight, and which has never been done.
Big shift we've seen the whole series for LaRoche.
Pops it up in foul ground. That hits toward the stands and out of play. LaRoche with 29 home runs, tied for 4th in the National League. 92 runs batted in. That's 6th in the league. So in a year when a lot of folks around him have spent some time on the sidelines, LaRoche has been the mainstay in the middle of that Nationals batting order.
Missed a lot of last season with the elbow, bad elbow, shoulder.
Yeah. But he's stayed healthy all of this year. I mean, think about it. Worth missed 3 months with the wrist injury. Harper didn't come up until the end of April. Zimmerman spent some time on the sidelines because of his shoulder. Desmond was out for, what, 6 weeks with the oblique?
Yep.
So they've had everybody up and down that lineup hurt for some period of time, but they're all healthy now, except, of course, for their catcher, Wilson Ramos, who's out for the year with a knee injury. which is why they went out and got Kurt Suzuki, who has caught all 3 games in this series and now looks to be the mainstay behind the plate.
Well, LaRoche's best power year was 32 home runs back with Atlanta in 06, so he's 3 off of that career high.
1-2 to LaRoche. Struck him out. Change up from Harvey, and he struck out each of the first 4 batters to face him.
Well, it's interesting when we get the reports from Bloomberg. It talked about the pitch that gives LaRoche the most problems, and it has been that changeup from the right-handed pitcher. And again, he goes down on the changeup from Harvey.
So 4 batters, 4 strikeouts, halfway to Jim Deshaies, who has the record for most strikeouts from the start of a game with 8. Here's Ian Desmond, who's 2 for 8 in this series with a double and a home run. By the way, Harvey became only the 2nd Met pitcher this season to strike out the side in the first inning. Chris Young did it against the Rockies last month. And Desmond takes off the plate for ball 1. But you can see how much he's evolved already from that spectacular first start against the Diamondbacks when he was just blowing people away with fastballs and sliders.
But it was more that day, and I was only watching on TV. You guys were there. It was like huffing and puffing and blowing your house down kind of effort, right? And this is just easy 95-mile-an-hour gas.
Now behind on Desmond, 2-0 and 3-0. Sometimes he looks like the star of a Warren Zevon song. There's a strike, 3-1.
A much better, taller Eddie Munster.
Oh, I didn't think about that. He's got the widow's peak.
Like he was drinking a pina colada at Trader Vic's. His hair was perfect.
Line center field, base hit for Desmond. And so the Nats hit their first fair ball against Matt Harvey, and it's a 1-out single for Desmond.
3-1 count, falling behind. The hitters count.
You know, when Desmond first came up, Keith, I don't know how you felt. I wasn't sure he was going to be the great player that they said. I knew he was a fantastic athlete. Didn't know if he could play shortstop defensively well enough. He's starting to round into quite an all-around player.
Took him a long time. He was in the minors for quite some time. First drafted by the Expos, but now has come of age and is one of the leaders on this Washington team. Here's Roger Bernardina getting his first start in the series, and he takes a strike. Michael Morse getting the night off. Bernardina's been a hot hitter. Just about everybody in that lineup has. Since the 9th of August, he's hitting .405.
I don't know whether Davey's gotten better athletes to be on his bench, but I do know one thing. Since I've known him, he always seems to get the best out of his players on the bench. I don't know if it's communication. I don't know if it's putting them in the right situations, playing them more. But he's always had a very good bench every place he's gone.
0-2 to Bernardina, up and in.
One thing you got to like with Shopping, right? Calls that fastball in much more than we've seen all season long.
Desmond at first has 17 stolen bases on the year. You know, nobody's attempted a steal against Matt Harvey yet. Now making his 9th start. And Bernardina fouls it back. Nationals will be moving on to Atlanta after this series with a chance to pretty much seal the deal in the National League East. Braves coming into the night 7.5 games behind Washington. Atlanta's playing in Milwaukee tonight and facing the Brewers ace Giovanni Gallardo as the Brewers make their run. And the Cardinals, who are letting everybody back in it, they're trailing again tonight. Here's the 1-2, and he foul tips it, and Shopping can't hold it, so it's still a ball and 2 strikes. Cardinals are in San Diego, where the Padres have done a nice job playing spoiler the last couple of weeks as that ball just got in and out of Shopping Smith. Padres 1, Cardinals nothing in the bottom of the 5th on a Logan Forsythe home run. San Diego's won 16 of 21. And they're only 7.5 games out of the wild card. Everybody in the pool. Slider at the feet of Bernardina, 2-2.
Well, we've seen with Harvey so far early in this game. He's got his good fastball. We've seen some really good changeups, a couple of cutters in and away, but he's not centered his curveball yet.
Wally Backman alongside Terry Collins. Got in on the hands of Bernardina, and Duda comes over near the dugout railing and puts it away for the second out. Nice pitch by Harvey to get the pop up 2 away. So 2 out. Desmond still at first, and now Kurt Suzuki 3 for 8 in this series, including a home run. Came over from the A's in early August and has taken over as the #1 catcher. By the way, his old team, they're playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Not only has Oakland won 20 of their last 25, but going into their game in Anaheim tonight, they've won their last 11 road games.
Well, they're going to need it. Late in September, they've got an 11-game road trip through Detroit, Yankee Stadium, and Chicago White Sox. They're going to need it.
Might be relishing it.
Yeah, right.
Taken on the outside corner by Suzuki. Well, you see what they did last night in the 9th inning? 1-run lead. First and third, nobody out. They bring in Jerry Blevins, who's, a guy who normally works in the 6th inning, and he gets a strikeout and a double play, and they win by a run. It's the kind of year the A's are having. They're now 21 games over 500.
Remember, I don't know if you guys remember 2010. San Diego Padres were having that exact same year, and then they lost 10 in a row in September.
And that's how the Giants beat him out and eventually won it all. And Suzuki watches the slider wide, and it's 1-1.
What do you think, Keith? Yeah, good call by Joe. Good call.
Desmond at first and 2 down. And Suzuki pounds that slider into the ground, and it's 1-2. Steve Lombardozzi playing second base and batting 8th tonight, waiting on deck. '23-year-old Matt Harvey. Now it's 2-2 to Kurt Suzuki. Desmond runs and Suzuki fouls off the fastball.
One thing I like about Harvey, Ronnie, is that he's going to get better with it. Right-hand hitters, he can really throw that fastball knee-high outside corner with some mustard on it.
Yep.
That pitch right there to Suzuki, just a very defensive swing just to stay in the at-bat.
You see how dominant he's been once he gets to 2 strikes. He's already struck out 4 tonight. And he struck him out. 97-mile-an-hour heat from Harvey. 5 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Matt. So he's off to a roaring start, dominating the Nats early. No score. Mets and Nats no score. Mets trying to get out of the offensive doldrums. Terry Collins shaking things up a little bit tonight, playing Lucas Duda and sitting Ike Davis against the left-hander. Terry said tonight that his intention is to play Duda just about every day the rest of the way. He said we've got to see what we've got here. Because, you know, looking at this team going forward, the outfield is an enormous concern for next season. The Mets were hoping that Duda would blossom this year. It didn't quite happen that way. As he lines one over shortstop, and he's got himself a leadoff hit.
You know, I personally think, I don't know how you guys feel, I think Duda's got to play almost every day. You've got to see what he can do.
Well, it's September, and this is what gives you the opportunity when you're an also-ran to play your young kids without any pressure and just let them go out there and even make an evaluation.
So the Mets have their second hit against Lannon, and now Kelly Shopik 0 for 3 in this series.
Is it hard to evaluate when there's a little pressure on?
It can be deceptive.
Line toward the middle, base hit for Shopik. So the Mets with back-to-back hits to start the second inning.
This is a bullet here.
Fastball, little didn't sink it, get it away enough.
So now Jason Bay will bat with 2 men on. Jason has a new 0 for working. It's at 0 for 13. Good career numbers against Lannon, 4 for 9 with a home run. And he takes the breaking ball down for ball 1. Well, the thing about playing in September is it's such a mixed bag when you're trying to evaluate talent. I mean, you might be playing against an also-ran, say, a Miami, and facing, you know, players who spent the year in the minor leagues. Or you might be facing a contender like Washington and Atlanta and be facing frontline pitching.
I was thinking more of playing on your own team that's contending and guys looking to you to come up with big hits and, you know, those kind of things. I know what you're saying. You might be facing Cliff Lee or.
Zimmerman goes sidearm to second, and Lombardozzi stayed on the bag to get the force on Shopik. Zimmerman taking a chance with that sidearm toss, and Lombardozzi did well to keep his foot on the bag.
Makes me wonder if that shoulder, how he kind of lollipops some of his throws, it's much less stress on the shoulder to throw sidearm, but watch it bleed into the runner. Nice play by Lombardozzi. Very nice.
So that's the first out of the inning. Duda moves to third. Bay is at first with 1 out and a chance for Andres Torres to get a run in. If Torres only batted right-handed, he'd be having a heck of a year. Hitting .293 right-handed with a .400 on base percentage from this side of the plate. The left side, a disaster. He lines one to left field, coming on Bernardina, and he picks it off. And tagging at third and holding his Duda, he goes back to the bag. 2 out.
Well, tough break for Torres, and with Duda doesn't have the good wheels. You can't, with an outfielder coming in with all of his momentum coming home, he's dead as a doornail.
Could you have taken the extra base if you're Bay? No.
Probably didn't have time to get back to tag out.
Yeah, he's got to be halfway.
Do you play it any differently there when you know you've got the pitcher coming up, even if it's a good hitting pitcher like Harvey? Do you take a chance?
I think you're more up to not take a chance with Harvey up there because he can get a hit.
I just don't. I don't think it had anything to do with it. I think that Duda doesn't run well, and he'd been out. He would have been out.
Diving stop by Zimmerman. Sidearm toss from his knees, and he gets the force to save a run. That's an outstanding play by the former Gold Glover Zimmerman as he gets the force on Bay to end the inning. Zimmerman going all out keeps the Mets off the board. Matt Harvey has struck out 5 over the first 2 innings. And he's got 8, 9, and 1 in the order coming up in the third. By the way, it was on this date, September 12th of 1984, that Doc Gooden struck out 16 Pirates, and in so doing broke the rookie strikeout record that had been held by Herb Score.
I remember that. God, I hope I'm not wrong. But to me, my memory says that it was Marvell Wynn, an old Mets farmhand, that he struck out to set the record.
I've got one for you, Gary. In 1947, our colleague Ralph Kiner hit 2 home runs. His 7th and 8th in 4 games. That was a Major League record.
8 home runs in 4 games?
Yes, Mr. Kiner.
Were they in the pennant race?
So it's hard to evaluate.
Well, I was just, I was going back to what you were saying. No pressure. Didn't make it easy, did it? Steve Lombardozzi leading off in the 3rd inning. Lombardozzi, a better average hitter from the left side, better power hitter from the right side. He takes a strike.
Marvelous Marvell Wynn, one of my favorite teammates when I played with him in AAA on the south side of Chicago. I think while he got traded.
Deep to center, but playable for Torres, and he's got it, 1 out. SNY and City joined forces to help Bergenfield Little League, the latest recipient of the SNY Play Ball Award. The grant helped pay for repairs to their field, which was damaged by recent storms. You can see more of their story and those of past recipients at sny.tv/playball. John Lennon, a lifetime 100 hitter with 1 career home run. And Harvey quickly ahead of him 0-2.
Ronnie, your old idol, Carl Yastrzemski, he got his 3,000th hit today.
Wow.
In 1979 against the Yankees. Jim Beattie.
Didn't make up for the hit he didn't get in 78.
Hey.
Swing and a miss, and Lannon is out on strikes. So the first time through the batting order, Matt Harvey rings up 6 strikeouts. Here's your AT&T trivia question for tonight. The only manager in Major League history to finish in first place with 4 different teams, which is what Davey Johnson is attempting to do this season.
I got that one.
Davey's finished in first place with the Mets, the Reds, and the Orioles, and going for 4.
The first one to ever do it, though, there's a bit of a caveat there.
A slight asterisk. Only because of circumstances beyond his control. Here's Jason Worth, and he ducks out of the way of a curveball. Worth struck out his first time up. See, the barking hot dog vendor is back.
You know what? I had never heard him until Keith told me about him, and that's all I can hear now up here in this booth. Marvell Wynn was traded for Junior Ortiz.
Oh, Junior. Junior.
That's right.
Junior had he stuttered all the time. What a great guy he was.
There's the hot dog vendor.
Yes. By the way, seeing that Nathan's hot dog cart there, we were at an event tonight that served Nathan's French fries.
The best ever.
I'm a little full.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I'm on a diet, so I only drank half of that Shake Shack steak.
Really?
That's hard to do.
Yeah, they had 15 of those Shake Shacks lined up there.
Yeah, I had a vanilla one. It was fantastic.
I almost went and got my bag. What?
I went up the promenade over our heads.
That very rarely happens.
Yeah.
Where the ball goes over our head. We have not had one in the booth.
The trajectory that would be necessary to get a ball in this booth is almost impossible.
Yep. But it can happen.
Anything can happen. It's baseball. And there's ball 4, so Harvey issues his first walk of the night. A 2-out walk to Worth.
Well, there we are.
You've got the screen. See if you can tell us where the top of the screen is there.
I think Al, our cameraman, has a chance to get waffled, but I don't think he can get all the way back here.
The screen
goes
behind
right where the mound is. You can see the screen.
Yes, right across there.
Right.
And then
so it has to go above that.
And then we got the roof overhang over us.
Right.
That's above, there we go. Thank you, Al.
Can he even see the overhang from where he is?
Al.
There it is.
And that juts out pretty good here and actually blocks our view in some high pop-ups. Sometimes we don't know where the ball's going. So it really has to be perfect.
Bryce Harper's going to call third strike his first time up. Here's a good curveball from Harvey. A ball to strike. Matt Harvey, the number 7 overall pick in the draft in 2010. You see who went before him. The guy at the plate did. 6 picks in front of him.
Machado playing third base for the Baltimore Orioles.
Drew Pomerantz in the rotation for Colorado.
It's got to be Delano's son, right?
Yep, Delano Jr. 2 balls and a strike to Harper. Because Harper was a unique case. Kid who left high school after his sophomore year to go to junior college, so he would be accelerated into the draft. Let's say he gets to the big leagues at age 19.
Harvey has shown a pretty good move so far to first base. Usually, we always talk about it all the time. The tall, big right-handers usually don't have a quick move. He's got quick feet and a good move.
There's a little bit more of a little trivia here. In 2006, the New York Mets rallied to a 6-4 win, Gary, over the Florida Marlins to win the division title. That ended Atlanta's 14 consecutive season streak.
Really, was this early in September?
Yep, that's what it says. Wow. 2006.
So I remember the Mets got swept in Pittsburgh right before that. Otherwise, it would have been even earlier.
Boy, interesting tactic there by Harvey. He just held on to the ball. That was a setup play. And Shopik went out there. He said, just hold on to it as long as you can. Step off after 4 or 5 seconds. And he did. Trying to freeze Worth.
Little veteran guidance.
Three and 1 now to Harper, with Brian Zimmerman waiting on deck. So Harvey retired the first 2 hitters here in the third. Walked Worth, now behind Harper, 3 and 1. I would say in general, Matt is working at a somewhat slower pace than what we've seen in his prior starts. Harper gets under one. Shallow left, and Jason Bays settles under it. That retires the side. A walk in, 1 left. That's come up at the bottom of the third, top of the order with no score. Online, and let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. His report tonight brought to us by Cholula Hot Sauce. Kevin?
All the things that go through a mind of a major league pitcher who spent most of this year in the minor leagues, Gary, as you chronicled earlier in the game for John Lennon, who spent this year at Syracuse, other than 2 starts that he came up and pitched well in both of those starts. And he said, man, range of emotions of, trying to stay positive down there because I believed I was a major league pitcher, and that was hard at first, there's no doubt. And, then it kind of went to, I don't want this to define me because I'm here, and, halfway through the year, I'm obviously there in Syracuse, and I did not want that to define me because I believed in myself and I believed what I can do. But I'll tell you what, I was involved in these guys. These are my teammates, my friends up here. I watched every single Nationals games. If I didn't see it live, I watched it on the MLB app the next day on my phone. It's just the way it was. I watched every single pitch. I wanted to be here, but I got myself focused as that one threw the wickets, and Tejada goes to first base. I said, I'll tell you the other thing, being here now with a chance to help this team win the division made this year worth it, guys.
Second error of the series for Ryan Zimmerman as he just couldn't handle this hop.
Well, the wickets came up. Whoop. The old floodgates.
16 on the season for Zimmerman. To put that in perspective, David Wright's got 10.
Well, he made a great play to end the second inning to keep the Mets off the board, and now he makes an error on a routine play to start the third. Ronnie Cedeno fly to right his first time up. You wonder about Lannon, though, watching every pitch of every one of the big league games while he was in the minors. How much of that was rooting for his teammates, and how much of that was waiting to see somebody go down so he'd have a shot?
He'll take the fifth on that one.
I mean, do you think that's typical of a player who gets sent down, that he's that invested in what's going on above?
Well, I think it's, the times, because you can watch every game. That's part of it. But you can catch yourself. Probably one of the reasons he had a tough first half in Syracuse is that, you're not paying attention to where you are and what you're supposed to be doing.
I mean, this is an eye on the prize kind of business.
Yeah. You don't really pick it. It kind of picks you. You know what I mean? So when you go down there, the hardest part, and I never was sent down, so I shouldn't really talk about the subject, but from people I know, hardest part is you're embarrassed. You're down there with guys that you've kind of trumped.
Slow ground ball. Zimmerman with another chance. Another sidearm throw to second. Third time he's done that in the last 2 innings to get a force play.
He's going to kill Lombardozzi before the night's over. Jeez. Let's go. Killing me over here.
So Cedeno replaces Tejada at first. 1 out and 1 on for David Wright, who had a base hit and stole a base his first time up. David now has a 7-game hitting streak, and he's now just 10 hits from Ed Kranepool's Mets career hits record. The last 7 Mets hitters have seen a total of 11 pitches from John Lennon, so they have been up there swinging. As Wright takes the first pitch curveball down for ball 1.
Well, if there's ever been an offensive player in Mets history that has covered so many records by others in one season as David has this year, right? Runs scored,
RBIs, doubles.
Going to get the hits at some point.
The home run record, that's still a little ways away. He's had only 1 home run since late July. 200 for his career, which puts him 52 behind Strawberry. Lannon behind on Wright 2-0. And now 3-0. With Scott Hairston waiting on deck.
Give him a hit sign.
Mets looking for that breakout offensive game. 12 straight home games now. They've scored 3 runs or fewer. First time in franchise history that's happened. There's a strike. The last time that any major league team had a longer streak was actually just 2 years ago. Seattle had 16 straight home games when they scored 3 or fewer. Three and 1. Cedeno's not running. Wright fouls it off. At least they had the 2-run inning yesterday, snapping that 110 inning streak at home of not scoring more than 1 run. Second longest streak in Major League history. So, I mean, this has been a drought, especially at home, of vastly historic proportions. And the Mets just trying to find some way out of it. They have 10 more home games after today. Cedeno gets picked off and gets in the rundown. And LaRoche slapped the tag on Cedeno for the second out.
Terry can only look down. What has happened here? And David Wright left real early and got an easy steal. Cedeno leaving early there. It tells me that they think they have something on Lannon, but not 100%.
But Ronnie, you can't do that on a 3-2 pitch. That's a different kind of circumstance.
Absolutely. You have to wait for him to go to the plate. It's just that's not your head in the game.
That is a major dunderhead right there. That is a big movement. Don't do that.
Broken back grounder. Desmond in front of it. Throws out right. Side retired. An error, a caught stealing. Nobody left. After 3, Mets and Nats. Still no score. Yes, who's the only manager in Major League history to finish in first with 4 different teams, and that would be
got to be Billy, right?
Billy Martin.
Yeah.
Now, Billy did it with the Twins, the Tigers, the Yankees, and the A's. The A's were the AL West champions in 1981, but that was the first strike season.
Yeah.
So they were on top of the division when the strike interrupted the season in June, but they did not have the best record in the second half.
Yeah.
But they did have the best overall record in the American League, so I guess that qualifies him as having finished first.
So they still had to play that playoff against Kansas City.
Right. Zimmerman drives one to deep left center field. Back goes Torres near the wall, and it's out of here. Ryan Zimmerman just keeps on crushing it. His 22nd home run of the year. He extends his hitting streak to 16 games. He's driven in a run in 9 straight games, and he puts the Nationals in front 1-0.
Just don't see a right-handed hitter have this kind of power down in the strike zone. We always talk about the left-handed hitters, Keith, but Zimmerman's got pop down there.
Well, a lot of the hitters today, the right-hand hitters, they're all low ball hitters. This is inner half. We talked last night. Zimmerman's a middle in hitter for the first 2 strikes in the at-bat.
That was a laser.
And he's just very strong. He knows. And that's after striking out his first at-bat. So he kind of honed in the radar there.
Only the 4th home run allowed by Matt Harvey in 50 big league innings. Adam LaRoche pops one up into left field. And Jason Bass sidles over. That's the first out. So the Nats have now hit 5 home runs in this series. Zimmerman has a pair of them as their raging hot offense just continues to produce. There's Ian Desmond, who singled his first time.
Nationals on their bench lead the world in smiles, don't they?
Why not?
What a year.
From Harvey, and Desmond a little late swing, foul. That's that little cutter that he's throwing tonight, Ronnie. Is that something new for him or something he's just refined a little bit?
I think he's refined it a little bit. You know, when he first came up, I think you guys were watching him. He had a kind of a hard slider, big overhand curveball. He didn't see a lot of changeups in his first start, and a good fastball. But he's really tightened up that slider, made it a lot smaller, tighter, easier to control usually. Now, Terry Collins was talking about Dan Warther, and he had been working a lot in the bullpen trying to apply what he's been working on into the game.
I was thinking, watching him throw that cutter, maybe he'd been watching Henry Mejia in the bullpen. Henry's got that natural cut on his fastball.
I think that it's going to be interesting. I mean, I personally, if I were a pitching coach of Matt Harvey, I would leave him alone, kind of let him pitch, and then evaluate him at the end of the year and go, you know what? I'll watch some film here. Well, you could do a couple things here, work on that, but just let him compete.
Swing and a miss, and he gets Desmond. Strikeout number 7 for Harvey. 2 out in the 4th. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Now Roger Bernardina, who fouled out to first in his first at bat. Keeping an eye on the increasingly hot National League wildcard race. The Cardinals, who are clinging to that second spot despite losing 10 of their last 14, are playing in San Diego. Cardinals were down 2-0. Matt Carpenter hit a 2-run homer in the top of the 6th to tie it, but then the Padres went back in front. Yasmani Grandal with a base hit, and the Padres are up 3-2 on the Cardinals in the 7th. Dodgers a game back. The Pirates somehow still only 2.5 back, despite the fact they lose every day. And the Phillies and Brewers back in it. Phillies winning this afternoon, beating Miami behind Cliff Lee, who already has 5 wins.
Well, he's trying to make up for that horrific first 4 months of the season with 2 months of fine pitching.
Well, the Phillies are hitting on all cylinders right now. That was their 7th straight win today, 15 of their last 19. And the 5-time defending division champs are not going quietly.
Now, Keith, you said it. You knew they were going to make one more run, whether it's whether they were too far back or not. You know, 3 out of the 5 days they've got Hamels, Lee, and Halladay pitching. Yep. And if Kendrick's been pitching well, if they get one of those wins, that's winning 4 out of every 5 days. That'll work.
Bernardina toward the hole. Duda with the diving stop. Harvey covering, but he can't hold on to the ball. And Bernardina's safe. Terrific play by Duda to lay out and stop that ground ball from getting through the hole.
Well, nice range by Lucas to his right, and just makes a tough throw for Harvey right here, down and behind him.
It's the one that hits you right in the middle of the wrist. Hit him right on the edge of the glove and the wrist. Not able to come up with that play.
In his last start, he took a ball up the middle off the wrist on his glove hand. This one appeared to hit the heel of the glove. It's an infield single for Bernardina. And it gives the Nats a 2-out base runner.
For all you kids out there, you future first baseman, it's always you want to give the pitcher the throw right into his letters of his uniform up high and lead him a little bit in that front shoulder so he can get him an eye, catch the ball, and be wary of to pick up the bag as quick as possible and get it to him as quick as you can too. So it doesn't have to be like what happened to Harvey there, where he's looking for the bag and then trying to catch the ball at the same time.
Here's Kurt Suzuki. And correct me if I'm wrong, Keith. That might be one of the rare plays at first base where a right-hand thrower has a little bit of an advantage after making that stop.
Yes, because she doesn't have to do the pivot.
You used to kind of spin on your knee.
I was left-handed my whole life. I kind of perfected it.
Very humble.
Just so you know, there are a lot of people who are left-handed their whole life who don't perfect it. Who can't even operate a scissors.
I will say something interesting. Once I was traded, though, and I got to other teams, I would be covering first, and I would have to scream to the first baseman, "Get it to me, get it to me," because they would take so long, and I had been used to getting it so early from Keith, where you just have to catch it and kind of find the bag as you're running.
Harvey struck out Suzuki his first time up. He's ahead of him 0-2.
He's a hard thrower, boy. I tell you what, I like that 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
And throwing 97 in September, a month where he's never pitched before.
One more start after this.
It'll be Tuesday night against the Phillies when the Mets come home next week. Bernardino diving back, looked like he was in running mode. Bernardino can fly, has 15 steals this year in part-time duty.
Really, Ronnie, the Phillies kind of won up to me. I just thought that they would be a spoiler in September. I didn't think they'd make a run.
Well, that's been what the Cardinals and the Dodgers have allowed by stumbling around the last couple of weeks. 1-2, and Suzuki bounces one down to David Wright. He goes the short way and gets the force to end the inning. But the Nats take the lead. Ryan Zimmerman leading off the fourth inning with a home run outside of the old Citi Field dimensions. Number 22 for Zimmerman. 1-0 Washington in the fourth. Site SNY.TV, the ultimate blog network featuring a continuous flow of sports news straight from the best New York sports blogs. SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. The Big East blog blowing up today, by the way. Twin huge headlines coming out of the Big East. Notre Dame defects. Jim Calhoun retires.
Wow. Coach Calhoun has had so many health issues, hasn't he, the past few years, including a bad bicycle mishap.
Scott Hairston leading off the home fourth with the Mets down a run. Hairston took a call, third strike, his first time up. I think it's time for the Big East to do what they should have done years ago.
Yeah.
All the basketball schools go play basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
Lombardozzi throws out Hairston, one away.
How about all the Catholic schools?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You'd have Villanova and Georgetown and St. John's and Seton Hall and et cetera, Providence. And then you could pick off Xavier and Dayton.
St. Louis, maybe?
Richmond.
That'd be a great
league, right?
Oh, man.
All those non-football playing schools, and you could still, have yourself a big-time basketball conference.
You get your miles on People Express. That's not a...
Well, that used to be the case. Here's Lucas Duda, who had a base hit to left his first time up.
That ball never touched the glove of Suzuki and hit the foot of Joe West, who never moved.
And that will get Joe West very honoring.
Watch this. Joe's left foot.
It's like Daniel Day-Lewis. One and one to Duda. You know what Joe will do? He'll write a country song about it.
That's right. He's got a couple of albums out, doesn't he?
You ever heard his album?
I have not. Has he got a... Well, I don't pitch anymore, so I couldn't hear or say anything.
Joe
Whatever.
can sing.
He can sing?
He can sing.
Because I always think of the athletes that have those records. Tim McCarver had a record, right? Terry Bradshaw had a record. Mostly Southern.
When I was broadcasting in the minor leagues, manager in Pawtucket was a guy named Ed Noddle, who was known as the singing manager.
Really?
And Ed had his own album.
I said Southern. I mean country music, mostly.
Duda gets jammed and pops one up to right field. And Jason Worth with two hands. 2 out. Now, the last 25 home games, the Mets have gone 4-21, which is startling enough, but then look at the numbers. 2.3 runs per game, and you can understand why they are.
Well, outscored, too, at the very bottom. That is lopsided. And the runners in scoring position, it's been very much like their season record, how they just completely fell off a cliff in the second half as far as hitting in the clutch, particularly with 2 outs.
There are only 2 other seasons in Mets history where they've had as many as 21 losses in a 25-game span of home games. 1962, when they twice had 4-21 stretches at the Polo Grounds. And 1979, when they were even worse. They had a 2-23 stretch in 1979 at home. In fact, in 79, the Mets finished the year with a 13-game home losing streak and lost 30 of their last 34 games at Shea. The Mets hope not to finish quite that poorly this year.
82, you said?
No, 79.
79. Oh, 79, yeah.
That was one of those reasons. That was one of those games. More than a few. I was the year I won the batting title. I aced out the batting title from Pete Rose right at Shea. First game of a doubleheader to Roy Lee Jackson. Never faced him before. I think I went 3 for 4. I hit a 3-run bomb off him.
I think I remember.
And Pete took a caller in Philly.
Game over.
And I went from a 5-point lead to like a 7 or 8 point lead. And that was it. I had won the batting title. Pete made a big charge. Put the pressure on him.
By the way, speaking of batting titles, hate to say this, but Melky Cabrera is pulling away.
It's a shame.
Got an 8-point lead going into today.
It's an embarrassment for baseball.
2-2 to Shopik, who had a base hit to center field his first time up. Meanwhile, John Lannon making his 3rd start for the Nats this year, trying for his 3rd win. He had 1 in June, 1 in August, and now his 3rd start of the year in the middle of September. Just off the plate to Shopik, 3-2.
Lennon spotting that fastball, not overpowering, but puts it inside enough to keep the right-handers honest.
He really throws that inside fastball on 2-2 to set up the 3-2 changeup away.
I'm in your camp, Ronnie. I've always liked him.
Yep.
He hasn't walked a batter tonight. He struck out only one. And struck out two as he uses the off-speed pitch to get Shopik. 1-2-3 go the Mets for the first time tonight against Lyman. 1-0 after 4. Let's look at our Toyota tweet of the game. What has impressed you most about Matt Harvey since he was called up? Tweet us at SNYTV with the hashtag SNYMets and let us know what you think.
There's a seriousness to this young man. He just doesn't take any baloney when he's out there.
8, 9, and 1 in the order for the Nats in the 5th inning against Harvey, who has struck out 7 over the first 4 innings.
Got to watch the bunt here by Lombardozzi, leading off an inning, batting 8th. Element of surprise, he hopes. New first baseman in Duda. A lot of pluses.
Lombardozzi flied to center his first time up. He has played a lot for the Nats this year. He was their leadoff hitter for about half a season, and he does try and bunt his way on.
Good call. Good call, Ronnie.
It's a big part of the game for the man whose name barely fits on his jersey.
Yeah. Well, that was Davies' little star pupil. Davies' little apple of his eye. He loved Lombardozzi in spring training, and he did a heck of a job for Davey. Better left-hand hitter than right.
Filling in when Desmond was out. Espinosa moved over to short. Lombardozzi led off.
And earlier in the year, when they had injuries in the outfield, he was playing left field every day.
Yep.
When Worth was hurt, or earlier when Morse was out. Morse missed the first 50 games.
Utility player.
So he's had over 350 at bats. Harvey gets in his kitchen, and it's 1-2.
His dad was a right-handed hitter, shortstop, solid player, played on some of those fine teams in Minnesota.
Played for Tom Kelly, whose number was just retired over the weekend. That's long overdue, don't you think?
Long overdue, and also underrated. When you talk about the managers of his generation, boy, he was a winner. Had some fine players too.
Well, to win 2 World Series in a 5-year span in that market was a stunning accomplishment. And of course, it took a Columbia guy for them to win the second one.
Gene Larkin, right?
The game-winning hit in that 1-0 10-inning Game 7 in '91.
Gaetti, Gagne at shortstop.
Herbeck and Puckett.
Boy, Kirby could play.
And Herbeck had some unbelievable years. Little jam shot, shallow left. That's going to fall in for a base hit. Lombardozzi takes the turn and slams on the brakes as Bay plays it in quickly. So a little blue pit from Lombardozzi gets the Nats started in the 5th. And that'll allow Lannon to move him up with a bunt. Lannon struck out his first time up.
And we'll see how the Mets played as a Nationals last night. Just really played a beautiful sacrifice bunt situation. They got Dickey to hit bunt into a double play. Nice play by LaRoche, charging hard from first base.
Lannon pulling off.
Poor Fundies.
There's a little bit of fear in Mr. Lannon facing this 95-mile-an-hour fastballer by Harvey.
And he takes strike 2.
Do you find it harder, Ronnie, to bunt a breaking ball?
Yes, absolutely. I don't care how hard you throw. It's when the guy is spinning it up there. Much tougher because, well, let's face it, you don't have the talent to stay in there as a pitcher.
And he slashes on the Butcher Boy.
Oh, boy, almost got Worth.
Almost took out Worth, almost took out the Bat Boy. He had multiple targets. Almost took out the cameraman.
I'm always afraid for those young Bat Boys. You get the helmet on, thank God.
Who was the Cardinal that had his career ended?
Juan Encarnacion.
Yes.
Got hit in the eye.
Worth moved close to the bench.
He's out of range. Lannon again showing bunt. This time he will try to bunt, and he strikes out. That is strikeout number 8 for Matt Harvey. So a less than stellar effort at bunting, and in between he nearly decked his leadoff hitter. So now Worth, unscathed, will come to bat with 1 out and 1 on. In the American League East race, Baltimore and the Yankees begin the night tied. Baltimore is playing Tampa Bay. The Rays are 2 games back. Tampa Bay and Baltimore are 2-2 in the 4th, and the Yankees lead Boston 3-1 in the 5th. Runs by Granderson and Cano. It's 30 now for Cano. And Harvey sits the breaking ball high, and it's 1-0 to Worth, who has struck out and walked tonight 0 for 1. Bless you. On the corner, 1-1.
I have the cough button.
I know, but we have microphones too.
Sorry, I've had the sneezes today.
Is it allergies?
I guess it is. Excuse me.
Okay, it's a natural phenomenon.
To be surprised, Davey, even with Harvey throwing as hard as he is, wouldn't mind starting a runner and hit and running.
One and 2 to Jason Worth. Now in the 2nd year of that 7-year deal he signed with the Nationals. An oft criticized deal, and yet here is Worth, even with missing half a season, making a huge contribution with the Nationals as their leadoff hitter. Not what he was signed to do. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, it's interesting when you can sign a guy to a contract as large as Worth's, and he is part of the picture. He is not the entire picture.
But that's what he was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He was a terrific complementary player. He got paid like a star player when he came to Washington. And that strike 3 called as Worth is out on strikes, and that is strikeout number 9 for Matt Harvey. So Harvey, who fanned 11 in his first big league start in Arizona, just 2 away from that.
That's that fastball I like running. That paint your wagon on a knees and outside corner to the right-hand hitter. I love that pitch for him.
So, you know, Worth was a complimentary guy in Philadelphia. He got paid like a star, but you're right. He's a complimentary guy again because they've built up so much talent around him, including this kid.
So he is back in the role he was before, which is why he's probably playing so well.
Harper has struck out and flied out 0 for 2 tonight. And he takes slider low and in for ball 1.
Kid's starting to see the ball pretty well, isn't he? First saw him, he was really just a total free swinger.
He went into a fairly prolonged slump in the middle of the season. His numbers came down drastically after a very hot start, but he has really picked it back up over the last month.
It's all about the finish.
Didn't you tell me that when he went through a slump that his teammates really liked him because of the way he reacted through the slump?
He was the same guy day in, day out, no pouting. Just like a veteran.
Yeah.
And he's 19 years old.
Well, everybody's been around Bryce Harper, and I think Kevin can really attest to this. It comes away so impressed with his maturity and his ease.
Yeah.
You know, especially compared to Stephen Strasburg, who has had to be sheltered by the Washington PR people. Harper is available, at ease with himself, and easily able to express himself. Bro. Swinging a foul ball with the runner going.
It's like a Juilliard student performing at Carnegie Hall. They've been waiting their entire life for it. They're ready.
Well, he's always been the youngest guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was playing in junior college when he was 16 years old against guys who were 2-3 years older than him.
You know, being an everyday player, too, he's going to have to be more accessible to the press as opposed to Strasburg, who really is performing once every 5th day.
But, you know, both came in with an enormous amount of hype. And while Strasburg sometimes has appeared overwhelmed by it, Harper has not. And that's not a knock on Strasburg. I think it's just it's an amazing thing that Harper has been able to handle the attention as well as he has.
It shows you a little bit what the organization thinks of them. They had to, or felt like they had to, kind of shelter Strasburg, and they just let this kid fly.
Well, you know what I compare it to? It's like when Doc Gooden came up and he was sheltered by the Mets PR people. But when David Wright came up at age 21, he had a press conference his first day on the podium by himself. No big deal.
Wow.
Like he'd been doing it all his life. And in many ways, Harper is a lot like David was.
You know, when all the talk about the players getting tired, giving them a couple of days, shutting down Strasburg, they have no problem playing this kid every day at 19, do they? They don't say he's tiring out. He's never played in September.
I've never seen a 19-year-old actually get tired.
That's right.
I've seen them stay up all night, but, you know.
Yeah, they sleep all day. My 19-year-olds do anyway. I don't know about yours.
7th pitch of the at-bat coming from Harvey to Harper, and he struck him out with a changeup. Nice job by Matt Harvey, his second career double-digit strikeout game. 10 strikeouts through 5 for Harvey, but a 1-0 Nats lead. Fifth inning, 1-0 Washington. Jason Bay leads off right now. Let's check in with Kevin, who's standing by with Doug Flynn, who's here as part of the City Alumni Association. Kevin?
You know, Doug, you, first of all, it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
But you played, obviously, with good teams, you know, teams with the Reds. When you came here, unfortunately, it wasn't really the greatest of stretches for the Mets, and you're watching this Mets.
You're being very kind when you say that.
But seriously, I wanted to ask what it was like, because we're watching this Mets team obviously struggle down the stretch, and you were on both sides. You've played with winners and with teams that didn't finish strong. So what is it like at this point when you're trying to finish strong and just have some good things happen?
Well, it is, and you got to feel like that you're fortunate to be able to be a big league ball player. So every day when you walk on the field, you have to take enough pride where you're going to play as hard as you can play. You don't always get the best results. When I was here, we had so many young guys, and we were all trying to find ourselves, and we were enjoying playing. We just weren't very good. But you have to make yourself every day get up, especially when you're on a losing team.
Does the enjoyment, is that harder, obviously, when you're losing, as Bay will ground out to second, one down? Is that enjoyment kind of, you know, sap you a little bit? Is it harder to have that?
Well, it is, because you want to do well for the fans.
Yeah.
And the fans in New York are awesome. I mean, they appreciate you going out and playing hard. If you screw up, just say, I messed up. Unfortunately, we messed up a lot more than we did good, but some of the greatest relationships and friendships I have came from the people in this city, because you become closer when you start losing a lot too, because you're hoping for that one person or that one year to get you over the hump. Sometimes it just doesn't happen.
You know, when you look back at your career, if you could look at an individual basis, what are you most proud of?
Oh, I don't know. I'm very thankful that I got to play, because I signed out of a tryout camp. So I didn't get drafted. Signed, I went to 4 different tryout camps. They gave me an opportunity to play. And then 3 years after getting cut from my college team, made it to the big leagues. So, you know, I was very blessed. And I got to play against Keith a lot. We came up through the minor leagues together. And I won't tell him what I called him to, you know, when I wasn't on the air. Although he's a dear friend, and I know one thing: if he'd been my first baseman my whole career, I wouldn't have had too many errors.
You know, you are here also promoting Mets Fantasy Camp, which goes on in January, and it's tell the fans who want to partake in that what it's like and what they get a chance to do.
It's absolutely the most fun week of your life, because you're there with a group of guys, and it doesn't matter how much money you got or how much you don't have. Once you're put on a team, you could become that person's teammate. And we have a kangaroo court. We give great instruction from all the coaches that are there. We're sitting around here with all of them out in these seats, and somebody said, how come you're sitting out there? I said, well, you got to hit 240 to get better seats. So, but actually I'm out here with all the fantasy camp guys, and we're having a great time, and tomorrow we'll play on the field. But I laugh more that week. I'm already hoarse just hanging around these guys. I laugh more that week than I do any other time of the year.
Torres has himself a base hit. I mean, Doug, doesn't a gold glove get you behind the plate, at least closer? I mean, something?
That would be a negative.
We were talking before we went on the air about just before you signed a deal with the Mets, you signed a 5-year deal after you won that Gold Glove in '80, and you had, I guess, an informal press conference where you were doing a little country singing, and Frank Cashin was trying to country up, right?
Yeah. You know, he came in with that little bow tie, and we put a cowboy hat on him, and you talking about a fish out of water. But I have that picture still, and we signed the contract, and I had a lot of my teammates and everybody down singing with a group. Had Loretta Lynn's backup band with me, and it was one of the most fun things I've ever done. Probably wouldn't do it again, because we had 20 people come from Lexington, Kentucky to New York, and we only had one break-in, lost one car, and other than that, it was a great success.
You've obviously, you've done a lot of work in the band yourself. You're singing Oak Ridge Boys a little bit there, but the big question is Joe West on the umpiring crew tonight, also country singer. Who's got the better pipes historically? Is it Joe or you?
No doubt, he's terrible. He's terrible. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Because in 14 years of pro baseball, I was only called one time around second base for being a little quick around the bag. And he cost us a game in Houston, and he swears I never touched the bag. And Joe Torre got kicked out. Joe Pignatano got kicked out. Rube Walker got kicked out. And one other player did. I was the only one, I think, that didn't get kicked out. So If he tells you he can sing, go by his record, be your own judge. But maybe he does sing better than he sees. That's all I got to say.
By the way, you're promoting fantasy camp just for people to come and have laughs with Doug Flynn. It's well worth it.
It's a wonderful time, and if you haven't signed up, we've already signed up 3 guys since we've been sitting out here, so it is wonderful. Bobby Whalen's one of our campers, and he's sitting here, and he's already signed up 2 guys because he gets a discount. That's the only thing he's thinking about is getting a discount. And he's got a great fastball. Last year we clocked him at up to 41 miles an hour. Consistently. He's got a changeup off his changeup, Ronnie, so you know what that would be like. So, you need to take some lessons. Watch, you got guys in the booth that can teach you something. They won't listen to me.
Why don't we just go down to the dugout and just hang out and talk for the rest of the game? This is good stuff, Doug.
I'd love to do that. This would be fun. But everybody out here, when they see you walking, they all want to start throwing their bras and panties at you. They love you so much out here. What's the deal?
Well, I don't know about that. I can't answer that, but I will say it's great to see you, and hopefully everyone comes to fantasy camp in January down in Port St. Lucie.
Thanks, Kevin. Always great to come back to New York.
Doug Flynn, guys, country singer, you be the judge. Let's go back to you.
Well, I think he was pretty forthright about Joe West's skills. I guess we will have to judge for ourselves. It's always fun to hear from Doug.
That's funny.
He was a tremendous Gold Glove second baseman, and I would have paid to see he and Keith play together on the right side.
We always played against each other. All those guys from that Cincinnati organization, they couldn't wear mustaches or long hair in the minor leagues. And Vern Rapp was their manager at Indianapolis, which was their AAA affiliate. They were the craziest bunch.
Lannon handles the comebacker from Tejada, and another fruitless inning for the Mets. Lannon with 5 scoreless innings coming home. 1-0 Nats as we head to the 6th at Citi Field. Facebook, a chance to win $1,000 plus do over the voiceovers on the SNY commercials featuring disgruntled sports memorabilia. It's the SNY voiceover do-over contest. Deadline September 21st. To enter, visit Facebook and like SNY today. 6th inning. Matt Harvey has struck out 10 over the first 5 innings, but because of this man, he's behind in the game 1-0. Zimmerman hit a long home run to left center his last time up. Jordani Valdespin has taken over for Ronnie Cedeno at second base. Cedeno started the game because Daniel Murphy was scratched with a stiff back tonight.
Well, there's the only run in the ball game. Fastball middle end down. no doubt, number 22 for Zim.
And now a 16-game hitting streak for Ryan Zimmerman. And Harvey fires in a 2-0 fastball for a strike. Harvey has been right on top of his game tonight. He's walked only 1, given up only 4 hits, struck out 10. But the Mets have done nothing to support him against John Lannon, and so the story continues. Final in San Diego, the Padres held on to beat the Cardinals 3-2. Opportunity looming for everybody else in that National League wild card race. That's 11 out of 15 the Cardinals have lost now.
Back-to-back changeups from Harvey. First time we've seen that all season long.
Up to 97 pitches on the night. 3-2 to Zimmerman. And he walked him. Second walk issued by Harvey. Leadoff man on for the Nats in the 6th. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin is standing by with this game break. And while the Padres continue to beat all comers, they've won 17 of their last 22. They're not going to get back in that wild card race, but boy, they're having an impact on it. Robert Carson up in the Mets bullpen after Harvey walked Zimmerman to lead off the 6th. Now Adam LaRoche is 0 for 2, struck out and flied out, and he swings and misses, 0-1. So with the Cardinals loss, here's how it looks in that wild card. The Dodgers, who play later tonight, just a half game back. The Pirates, who are playing right now, tied 1-1 with the Reds in the 5th. The Phillies, who won, and the Brewers, who trail Atlanta 1-0 in the 3rd.
It's not too much to ask now in baseball. Just stay around 500 until the beginning of September, and you're going to be in a race.
That one goes to the backstop off Shopik's mitt, and down to second base goes Zimmerman. A wild pitch charge to Matt Harvey.
Supposed to be outside, pulls it across his body, and Shopik not able to get to it in time.
I have been very impressed tonight as far as Harvey. I think he's really the best changeup I've seen him throw, and he's not overusing it, but when he has used it, it's been very effective. He's had good command.
This is the first opportunity tonight for the Nats with a runner in scoring position. LaRoche batting with nobody out. And he rips one into right field for a base hit. Zimmerman held up. He'll go to third and stop there. And the Nats have runners at the corners with nobody out.
Well, fastball right down the pipe. And really, LaRoche looking right there to advance the runner minimum. And Zimmerman right now making sure that ball drops. The Nats are in business.
So with Harvey at 101 pitches, Dan Warthen will go out for a conversation before he works to Ian Desmond. With Carson, the left-hander, up in the bullpen.
Sorry, Gary, might be his last hitter with Roger Bernardina waiting in the wings, but they also have Tyler Moore sitting on that bench.
And Michael Morris.
Yeah.
So Harvey may be running out of gas here in the 6th. Tough call for Terry Collins, who would love to leave him in long enough to try and get a win, but as well as Harvey has pitched tonight, he certainly can't afford to give up much more the way the Mets have been swinging the bats.
Whenever we talk about stressful innings, we tend to concentrate on having a lot of runners on, throwing pitches with runners on base. We never talk about the stressful innings that come from pitching in a 1-0 game.
So here's Desmond, who singled and struck out. Mets have their middle infielders poised to try and turn 2, but maybe a step or 2 in from there. So on a hard ground ball, they could consider coming home.
I think the only options for anybody in the infield, the corners positions, David Wright and Duda, who of course is holding on the runner. The middle infielders are back too far. They got to turn 2 on a ground ball to those guys.
And now Harvey falls behind on Desmond 2-0. A walk, a wild pitch, and a base hit for LaRoche have set the table for the Nats.
Afraid to throw that 2-0 little slider here on the 2-0 count. You might get a ground ball here from Desmond. Coming back in though with the fastball.
And now it's 3-0. Roger Bernardino, left-hand hitter, on deck. And Desmond swinging 3-0, fouls it off. And Desmond's got 22 home runs this year, including one in the opening game of this series. And Davey Johnson turned him loose.
Yeah, that's all about Davey.
Well, Mets have had a couple opportunities, right, in this series to swing 3-0 with their offense struggling. They've chose not to. At the top of their game, the Nationals being overly aggressive.
And that's inside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded, and that's going to be all for Matt Harvey. So 2 walks sandwiched around a base hit to start the 6th inning. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Robert Carson will come on in relief. Well, it was some ways a dominant night for Matt Harvey as he struck out 10 in 5 innings plus, but he'll leave trailing and leave 3 runners aboard. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Win Mets memorabilia from Verizon at Mets.com/Verizon Sweeps.
Well, he hasn't pitched in 5 days. The last time he pitched against the Braves gave up a couple of runs and 2 innings of work, but he's retired. He's gotten 2 inherited runners, retired them both. Tyler
Moore will be the pinch hitter for Roger Bernardino. Moore had the game-changing home run in the game last night, a 2-run pinch hit home run against R.A. Dickey that put the Nats in front. Zimmerman at third, LaRoche at second, Desmond at first, and nobody out. Mets will keep their middle infielders back as Moore steps in, and he takes low and inside for ball 1. Terry Collins was raving today about his 2 young lefties, Carson and Edgin, about the way they've progressed as this year has gone along. and how much of a piece of the future they appear to be. And now Carson, who's only inherited 2 runners all year and stranded them both, comes in to the kind of situation where a relief pitcher really earns his stripes, but quickly falls behind on Moore, 2-0.
We saw last night how much power this young man has. Suzuki on deck, Tyler Moore.
It's 2-0 right here, boy. This is a hitter's delight.
You say, Keith, he had 31 home runs in the last 2 seasons
in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ramon Ramirez stays busy in the Mets bullpen. Harvey went 5 innings plus, allowed 5 hits, 3 walks, struck out 10. A wild pitch and a home run, and responsible for the 3 runners on base. He became just the 2nd Mets starter this year to have multiple double-digit strikeout games. Ari Dickey's had 6 10-plus strikeout games, and Harvey has his 2nd tonight, but leaves trailing. And Moore pops it up. Should stay in play for Duda. Coming over, he's under it and staggers to make the grab, and that's the first out of the inning. So a big out for Robert Carson.
Now a nice ground ball. That would be quite a little job done by Carson.
Especially after going 2-0, right?
Well, Ramirez, the right-hander, is up in the bullpen, but Carson's going to stay in to face Suzuki, who's 0 for 2 tonight, a strikeout and a fielder's choice.
This is Mr. Carson is being under the microscope here, seeing what he's got in a tough situation.
And Suzuki takes a fastball off the plate for ball 1.
Now, he took that pitch right there, and I thought it could have been a strike. That's a perfect pitch to get a fly ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up in the strike zone, out over the plate.
And again, Carson falls behind 2-0. He fell behind 2-0 to Moore, came back to get him. Now he's 2-0 on Suzuki with Lombardozzi on deck.
This is when, as a pitcher, you hope a hitter gets big. That phrase meaning trying to overswing, just like Tyler Moore did and popped it up.
Suzuki's been hitting some home runs lately, 4 in his last 12 games. The 2-0, and he pops it up.
Jeez.
Infield fly rule should be called. Batter is out, and Valdespin snags it. Zimmerman fakes the go down the line, but he stays put, and now they're at 2 out. So Carson, working from behind in the count, gets both Moore and Suzuki to pop up, and now he's right on the edge of getting Matt Harvey out of this enormous jam.
Well, he's got Lombardozzi, the switch hitter. Much better left-hand hitter, as I told you before. 293 coming into the game from the left side, right side 241.
Tonight he's 1 for 2, flied out, and then hit a pop fly single in the 5th. Bases loaded, 2 down. And Lombardozzi pops it up. And Hairston waits, and the side is retired. What an effort by Robert Carson. Comes into a bases loaded, nobody out jam, and the Nats do not score. 1-0 Washington going to the bottom of the 6th. Park in Milwaukee against the resurgent Brewers. 7:30 the coverage Friday night. Mets and Brewers right here on SNY. Jonathan Neese opens that series against the fine rookie right-hander Mike Fiers. Henry Mejia makes his first start of the year on Saturday night against Sean Markham, and then Chris Young goes Sunday afternoon against Willie Peralta. Tyler Moore, who pinch hits, stays in the game in left field. John Ladden continues on with a 1-0 lead. Jordani Valdespin up for the first time, and he swings and misses at the fastball. Valdespin came on for Ronnie Cedeno in the top of the inning. No word on why Cedeno left the game. Slow ground ball. Zimmerman on the charge, and the sidearm toss to get Valdespin one away.
No, Zimmerman is so athletic, and that's a play he relishes. And that's not an easy hop. Great hands, soft hands, nice throw.
If David Wright's play is the bare hand play, then Zimmerman's is this play.
Yep, seen it a million times. He comes charging in, throwing on the run.
He's so much more comfortable throwing from down low now than he is coming over the top. Here's David, who's 1 for 2 tonight, singled and stole a base back in the first. By the way, Matt Harvey struck out 10 tonight in 5 innings. Only the third pitcher in Mets history to strike out 10 in an outing that lasted 5 innings or less. Oliver Perez against the Marlins in 06. Sid Fernandez against the Cubs in 86. Exactly the guys you would have expected.
That's right, the lefties.
Hit hard, just foul. And in Sid's case, he struck out 9 batters in the first 3 innings of that game.
Wow.
By the way, Dave Freed is doing furious research tonight as David Lowbridge has landed, and he has his second hit of the night. So Wright with a multiple hit game. Now just 9 behind Ed Kranepool.
I'm having a great time watching you, almost like an archaeologist, read the hieroglyphics that come your way.
It's almost English. Almost. Yeah, I hate to put the knock on Lincoln High School because, Mazzo went there.
That's right.
But, they didn't do a great job at Freed.
A little brushing off of the relic.
Anyway,
radiocarbon dating.
I was able to interpret this stat that he gave me earlier tonight, which I thought was stunning. Do you know that what the record is for strikeouts in the first 2 innings of a game?
Wow. That's interesting because of the wild pitch phenomenon.
Right. And because of that, the record is 7. Darren Dreifert struck out 7 batters in the first 2 innings of a game. That's hard to do.
There used to be an adage that pitchers would say to each other, "Don't strike out the side in the first inning." That's
bad omen.
That's going to be a bad omen. It's going to be a bad game. Don't strike out the first 3 guys.
Well, you know that start that Sid struck out 9 in the first 3 innings? He lost that game.
Yeah.
Against the Cubs. Landon with just enough life on that fastball. He's held the Mets to 5 singles in this game. He hasn't walked a batter. He's struck out only 2.
Boy, Jim Lett's been around a long time, bullpen coach for the Nationals.
Change up to Hairston, and it's 1-2.
That's what Landon does, is that he throws that fastball up and counters with the changeup in the dirt. Don't be surprised there's another one in, and then maybe a curveball away.
Got a lot of naval officers over the Nationals dugout.
The Merchant
Marines. Yeah.
Checking on Wright, who stole a base back in the first inning, his 13th of the year. What do you guys talk about over there at first base?
Always trying to get intelligence. No covert activity. Try to find out who's swinging good. How do you feel? What pitch is giving you trouble tonight?
Not union activity.
Is this the last year of your contract? Like that kind of stuff comes, right?
then you kind of got to, be careful because they could be giving you disinformation. You really got to be on your toes over there.
You also have to not, if he tells you something funny, not laugh too hard because you might have just hit a bullet up the middle off your pitcher, and you don't want to embarrass your pitcher.
Yep. I had a pitcher get mad at me once to give up a bomb in Montreal.
Hairston pops one up into shallow right. And Worth handles it for the second out. Worth always using two hands. So now Lucas Duda, who's 1 for 2 tonight, singled over short back in the second, flied out in the fourth. Well, this guy looked unbeatable the other night. Christian Garcia, he's up in the Washington bullpen.
4 outs last night, 3 by punch out.
He's only had 5 big league appearances, but he looks like he could be special. Coming off 2 Tommy John surgeries, released by the Yankees, and his rebuilt arm looks better than a lot of fresh arms we've seen. There goes Wright, got a big jump, and Suzuki won't even bother with a throw. David has his 2nd stolen base of the night and his 14th of the year.
David doing everything he can to get in scoring situation. Pretty good scoop there by Suzuki.
Mets are 0 for 5 tonight with runners in scoring position. A chance for Duda here with 2 out. And Lucas bounces it foul. Ball and a strike.
I have not seen Lannon pitch inside as much in the past as I've seen tonight, both against lefties and righties. He is really crafty tonight. As a result, there's 5 goose eggs up there.
In the American League Central race, White Sox and Tigers again tonight. Kevin Youkilis just homered off Max Scherzer to give the White Sox a 1-0 lead in the 4th. Chicago with a 2-game lead on Detroit after the Tigers won last night.
Scherzer's been their best pitcher for the last 2 months.
Which is a big statement.
That's right.
On a staff that has Verlander and Pfister. Foul to the plate, 2-2 to Duda. And Scherzer's been striking out the world. Things are going, it doesn't look as though the 2nd place team in the Central will have a chance to be a wild card team. Looks like the 2 wild cards in the American League will come out of the East and the West.
Jim Leland calls Scherzer the mechanical man. He said if he feels good about his mechanics, he'll run off 5, 6, 7 straight.
Well, remember when he first came up with Arizona? He had that incredible performance when he retired 14 in a row.
That was like a relief appearance, wasn't it?
Struck out 9 or something like that. The Giants have a 6-game lead in the NL West. They're playing in Colorado tonight. They put up a 5 spot for Tim Lincecum in the 1st inning.
Nice at bat by Duda here, getting it to a full count.
Tying run at 2nd with 2 down. 1-0 Nationals, 6th inning. 3-2 to Duda. Pulled foul.
What the ball boys this year are been outstanding. The one down the left field line, I don't know who it is tonight. He gets down on one knee and really blocks it. Outstanding.
Should find out his name.
It always slows the game down when there's butchers out there.
7th pitch of the at bat coming from Lannon, and Duda takes it high, and the Mets have 2 men on. First walk of the night issued by Lannon, and that'll get a visit from Davey Johnson. You got the right-hand hitter Shopik coming up. Lannon's still at a relatively low pitch count, but you've got Christian Garcia ready in the bullpen. So we'll see what Davey does here.
He just told his catcher he needed one more after that drink of water, and Davey's going on.
This is the right move.
So Lannon, 5 2/3 scoreless innings, will exit, and Garcia will come on to replace him, trying to hold a 1-0 lead for the Washington Nationals. On Lannon.
Throws awfully hard. We saw last night he's got an outstanding parachute changeup and a razor blade slider. Garcia's just got outstanding stuff. 2 Tommy John surgeries in his career.
And it's funny because Garcia, growing up in Miami, was not allowed by his father to pitch until he was a senior in high school because he was afraid he'd hurt his arm.
Wow.
And he became a pro in the Yankee organization and blew out his elbow twice. Kelly Shopik will be left in to hit. Now the Mets have plenty of left-hand hitters on the bench, including Ike Davis. And you don't know how many chances you're going to get, but they're going to stick with Shopik against Christian Garcia. Shopik is 1 for 2 tonight. Singled to center back in the second. Struck out in the fourth. And Shopik is hit by the pitch to load the bases. So Garcia's first pitch plunks Shopik, and now Davis will get to bat. Ike will hit for Jason Bay with the bases loaded.
Wanted the breaking ball, and
so the Mets have their chance here in the 6th inning. And they'll send up their best power threat. That's down 1-0. Bases loaded, 2 out. Ike is a pinch hitter this year. 5 hits and 12 at bats. Wright is at third, Duda at second, and Shopik at first. And Ike takes it wide. Ball 1. Davis last night 0 for 2, a couple of walks, and he's done a much better job lately laying off those pitches out of the strike zone. Takes a rip there on a fastball, and it's 1-1. Craig Stammen is the right-hander. Mike Gonzalez the left-hander in the Nationals bullpen. Andres Torres on deck. 1-1 to Davis. And Ike takes the off-speed pitch out of the strike zone. 2-1. Bobby Parnell getting ready for the Mets.
2-1 change, Keith.
He's got to come get him. There's a little run a sinker. Can't go 3-1.
Good call.
Too young. Young.
Hasn't seen him a lot.
Not a seasoned veteran.
You asked this question before, Keith. If you're a pitcher, you can see Garcia talking to himself. This is where you got to make it happen. Can't let it go to 3-2.
Working out of the full windup with the bases loaded. 2-2 to Ike. Lifted to center. Harper back. Got a bad read, but he gets there, and the inning is over. Davis took a shot. Harper goes back to get it. Mets lead the bases loaded in the 6th inning. 1-0 Washington. Game at first base. Lucas Duda moves from first base to left field. Robert Carson continues in the 6th inning after working out of a big jam for Matt Harvey in the 6th. Here's your Mazda around the majors. Jason Hayward with a first inning home run off Giovanni Gallardo, and the Braves lead the Brewers 2-0 in the 5th. Kevin Youkilis with the home run off Max Scherzer to put the White Sox up 1-0. They're now in the 5th inning in Chicago. And B.J. Upton with a home run. The O's and Rays tied 2-2 in the 6th. Mark DeRosa announced into the game as a pinch hitter, and as he is, Terry Collins comes out to the mound and he'll make a pitching change. So Carson did great work in the 6th inning, working the Mets out of a bases loaded jam. Will give way to Parnell. Pitching change here in the 7th. We'll be right back. Bobby Parnell brought in to face the pinch hitter Mark DeRosa, and fastball for a strike.
Well, if you go all the way back to June 14th, the span of 32 games, Bobby Parnell's ERA is a 2.35, which is lowered at under 3 now.
It's been a lost year for DeRosa. 2 long stints on the disabled list with an oblique and abdominal injury, and when he's played, he's hitting just 145. Veteran out of Bergen Catholic High School in New Jersey, former quarterback at the University of Pennsylvania. Quite a night for that man. Walk into a bases loaded jam with nobody out and escape with no run scoring. Robert Carson continues to impress.
The youngsters look fine tonight, Harvey and Carson.
Harvey went 5 innings, allowed 1 run and 5 hits, struck out 10. His second double-digit strikeout game in his first 9 starts. Looper over the second baseman's head, and DeRosa has himself a pinch hit. So Parnell is greeted by DeRosa. Nats have the leadoff man on. Jason Worth coming up, and we check in with Kevin.
Well, you're talking about Robert Carson, and he is one of these young power arms that the Mets have in the bullpen right now. And Carson's a little bit different because he's been in the bullpen all year. Now, this was the first year he was, but still had time to get used to it, to find his routine. He did a lot of different things to get there, though. They throw a lot of different touch and feel sessions during the week just to kind of keep his arm loose, something he never had to worry about. Speaking with Ricky Bonas, the Mets bullpen coach, today about what's different for him trying to teach down there with all these young guys, these power arms. He said, well, first of all, there's a lot more detail for me. You know, I'm going into a lot more detail about scouting, about being precise about what these guys need to do to get ready for a game. And he used a couple examples, starting with Familia. He said, well, for him, it's a little different because he's a starter. So I have him out there in the 3rd inning early doing band work to loosen up. And I'll really watch the game and get a sense of, you know, an inning before, I want him to loosen up and just throw lightly. I want him to get that arm warm before he throws any breaking balls at all. That's important for him. But there's a lot of detail involved. A guy like Elvin Ramirez, who, you know, throws so hard, I always find that he comes in, he tries to overthrow, and that results in a walk to the first batter. So I have to tell him, hey, just throw strikes, tone it down. You don't have to throw 150, that type of thing. You know, one of the things Familia working on, guys, because he's a starter right now, it takes him about 25 pitches to warm up. Normally, a reliever, 10 to 11 pitches to warm up. A guy like Burdack, 8 pitches to warm up. So all these little things that all these guys are working out as they try to show Terry Collins and company that they can really be big players next year.
And now Josh Edgen, the next man up in that bullpen, with Harper on deck. As Parnell falls, throws low to Worth, and it's 1-1.
You know, Kevin, I think it's what's interesting is about the bullpen also for Terry Collins. He has a belief that if he gets a pitcher up 3 times without bringing him into the game, that's as good as an appearance for Terry Collins. And he charts it that way.
You know, Ronnie, I'm interested in, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'd have to ask and watch, you know, because these guys are so young and raw and they throw so hard, do they know how to warm up? You know, I mean, is the type of thing you have to be taught that, Ronnie, in terms of, you know, not using all of your juice in that session to warm up, especially Familia if he's throwing that many pitches. I mean, clearly, you know, he's coming in throwing 97, but, you know, in terms of just managing that.
And there's ball 4 to Worth, and so the Nats have the first 2 men on against Parnell on the 7th.
You know, Kevin, the point is if the bullpen coach is good at his job, he will tell whoever is down there pitching, this is the guy that you're going to have. So you act accordingly to make sure that you're ready once that hitter comes up.
Terry Collins checking with the bullpen. Edgen is up. Harper is at the plate, but it looks like Parnell will stay in to face Harper. You've got Zimmerman next, and then the next left-hand hitter is LaRoche, 2 batters away.
You know, the one interesting thing here with watching Bobby Parnell throw 96 plus is how differently the hitters react to his 95 plus than they do to Harvey's. They have the same reading, but a different way it gets to the plate.
Harper up there to bunt.
How about, well, he's a number 2 hitter. That's surprising. Davey, you never can get a handle on Davey. He is always someone that plays hunches, doesn't really go by the book. I can understand this move right here with your 3 and 4 hitters coming up. 1-0 ball game, yes. Pike doesn't think he's going to bunt, that's for sure.
He's still back, and Harper does bunt. Parnell's going to have to go to first with it. 1-3 on the sacrifice. Yuri Perez, the pinch runner, goes to third, and Worth is at second. And Ryan Zimmerman coming up.
Harper's got to have a little bit of a laugh. I'm sure that in his entire life he's never been asked to bunt. Did his job, though.
Beautifully done. And it sets it up now for some couple of insurance runs out there for the Nats.
Zimmerman has delivered the only run of this game. A long home run to left center in the 4th, his 22nd of the year and his 2nd in this series. Justin Hampson is up now as Edgin has sat down. The infield comes in for New York, and Zimmerman takes low for ball 1.
Now the Nats come into this game 7.5 in front of Atlanta, and right now Milwaukee just took the lead at 3-2 over Atlanta. You know, and you can blow out the division, then you can set up your pitching staff for postseason. It's critical. It's very important.
And they're going to Atlanta this weekend. They could pretty much clinch the thing as Parnell falls behind on Zimmerman 2-0. This is reminiscent of Bobby's last outing against the Braves on Sunday. He just could not work in the strike zone the way he needed to. Wound up walking Dan Uggla in a big spot and set up what turned out to be the game-winning sacrifice fly in the 10th inning on Sunday. And now behind Zimmerman 3-0, and you might as well put him on now and bring in the lefty to face LaRoche.
Well, I certainly would be very careful 3-0 here, because I believe we've already seen Desmond swing 3-0. I'd let this man who's red hot swing 3-0.
And that's ball 4. Second walk of the inning. And that's going to be all for Parnell. So Parnell faces 4 batters, gives up a single, 2 walks, and a sacrifice. And he'll exit with the bases loaded. And Justin Hampson will be brought in to face Adam LaRoche. Back to Citi Field in just a moment. Retire one of the 4 batters he faced, and that was on a sacrifice. And so Justin Hampson, who's been lightly used since being called up, will get a shot here to face Adam LaRoche with the bases loaded.
Well, it's interesting. Maybe Josh Edgen has maybe the night off tonight. Hampson, of course, the third lefty really in that bullpen, but here in a huge spot.
Perez, Worth, and Zimmerman the base runners. Mets are back at double play depth against LaRoche, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Well, Robert Carson came into a bases loaded jam in the last inning, and he shined. See what Hampson can do here. Double play ball right at Valdespin, and the turn by Tejada. Wow. 1 pitch, 2 outs for Hampson, and for the second straight inning, the Mets bullpen bails out a mate from a bases loaded jam. 7th inning stretch time, still 1-0 Washington. Harvey, JB Metz says his demeanor and his attitude very composed. You get the sense he belongs. Well, that's for certain. Free ball. I didn't know they knew me. Maturity and his fastball.
Like Free Willie.
It is free. Only costs if you want hair. Craig Stammen comes on to pitch in the bottom of the 7th for the Nats.
I mean, Stammen has had an amazing year. They wanted to make him into a starter at the beginning of his career, but had an ERA over 5. But he is way up there in innings, 80 plus now, and strikeouts, 76.
Andres Torres hit the ball hard twice tonight, batting right-handed. Now he's forced to bat left-handed for the first time, and he takes a strike. Fred Lewis has come out on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher. And then Ruben Tejada for the Mets, who've been stymied for the first 6 innings by John Lennon and Christian Garcia. And now Stammen throws the breaking ball, and Torres grounds one for LaRoche to handle, 1 out. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Now Fred Lewis will be the pinch hitter. Lewis had a pinch hit at bat last night and struck out, still looking for his first hit as a Met. No, Matt Harvey, 10 strikeouts in 5 innings tonight. He became only the 4th Matt Harvey did to strike out 10 or more twice in his first 9 major league starts. Doc Gooden did it 4 times in his first 9 starts. Nolan Ryan did it 3 times, and Dick Selma did it twice. And Harvey as well, with 2 double-digit strikeout games. Slow ground ball for Lombardozzi, and quickly there are 2 out. Well, when Stammen's on his game, that's what you see. Lots of ground balls. And he's gotten 2 of them from the first 2 hitters he's faced. Now Ruben Tejada, who's 0 for 3 tonight, reached on an error by Zimmerman back in the 3rd. The Brewers have now scored 7 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning, and they lead the Braves 7-2. Milwaukee is just on some kind of roll right now. Completely counted out of any race, even more so than the Phillies.
They got their ace on the mound, Gallardo.
And they're doing that against Paul Maholm, who dominates the Mets, but maybe not so much the Brewers. Maholm's now been knocked out of the game. And that inning is still going with 7 runs home in the 5th. And Tejada takes a strike, 1-1. Jordani Valdespin out on deck. Valdespin took over for Cedeno, who we're told left with a tight right hamstring. So John Roush up in the bullpen, getting ready to pitch the 8th inning. 1-2 strikes to Tejada. The Dodgers are underway in Arizona. Adrian Gonzalez just hit a 2-run double in the 1st inning. And the Dodgers are up 2-0. If they win tonight, they'll be tied with the Cardinals for that 2nd wild card spot after St. Louis lost again tonight, getting swept in San Diego.
We thought last year was a wild ride. Whew. I mean, that last day of baseball last year was about as much fun as, if you're a baseball fan, that anyone could ever have.
It's hard to imagine anything like that happening again.
But maybe we'll have a last week where you're just all over the planet, all over the United States, checking out game after game.
Tejada hits one in the air to left field, carrying well, but there is more to make the catch, and the side retired. Mets go down 1-2-3 against Craig Stammen in the bottom of the 7th. The fact that Matt Harvey had a spectacular performance tonight. You look at some of his strikeouts in the Coors Light Freeze Camp.
Well, you really see how far the guys from Washington missed the baseball. Under it, over it, the speed of it, in front of it. I mean, just dazzling performance. So to strike out 10 in 5 innings, 5+ innings was a thing of beauty.
That allowed just 1 run in those 5 innings plus. Got his ERA down to 2.92. But he's in line for the loss unless the Mets can rally. John Roush will pitch the 8th inning against his former team, and he misses wide for ball 1. Ian Desmond leading off. Tyler Moore behind him, and then Kurt Suzuki. The Nats loaded the bases in the 6th. They loaded the bases in the 7th. Unable to score in either inning. In the 6th, they had the bases loaded with nobody out against Harvey, but Robert Carson came in and got 3 pop-ups in a row. In the 7th, they loaded the bases with 1 out against Bobby Parnell, but Justin Hampson came in and threw 1 pitch and got Adam LaRoche to ground into an inning-ending double play. And Harvey's still around, watching, which he seems to be doing all the time when he's not pitching. Desmond hits the curveball deep to left center, headed toward the wall, and that ball is out of here. Ian Desmond with his 2nd home run of the series, his 23rd of the year, and now it's 2-0 Washington. Well, Roush, who has been so spectacular for 3 months, hangs a breaking ball and it disappears.
Well, it was something that plagued him when he was not going so hot in the first half of the season. The home run ball. Hanging slider here, Keith.
6th home run in this series hit by the Nationals. Desmond with 2, Zimmerman with 2. So they've been showing the power here.
Washington now has hit 171 home runs this year. Only Milwaukee has hit more in the National League. There's Tyler Moore up for the 2nd time. Takes a curveball for a strike. And Desmond just continues to extend his franchise record for home runs by a shortstop. The record was 17 before this year. Now he's got 23.
You know, and it just shows that sometimes in an organization, when you're struggling, sometimes it's easy to make changes. They stood by this young man. They let him play. He's matured. And he's on his way to being one of the better young shortstops in the game.
That's one of the good things about having a team that's been an also-ran for so long. It's the first year they've really contended. They've been a last-place team. You can afford to play these kids and let them develop. And now you just reap the harvest.
Moore strikes out on a pitch in the dirt, and Shopping will slap a tag on him. That's the 1st out of the inning. But, you know, the other piece of that is not only were the Nats a losing team as Ryan Matthews is up in the bullpen, but they were operating pretty much in obscurity in Washington. I mean, it's not the same as being in New York, even though Washington's a big city.
Yeah.
You know, baseball was new to Washington. The expectation level was pretty low as far as performance was concerned, and that gave them the time to be patient with a guy like Desmond.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, Met fans suffer. Here's Kurt Suzuki, who's 0 for 3 tonight. The Nats 2 runs, 7 hits. The Mets no runs, 5 hits as Roush sails one high. Well, if the Mets can't rally in the last 2 innings, they will suffer through an 0-6 homestand. Well, that's where the Nats have come from. Last year, the closest they've come to having a winning season since arriving in D.C. in 05. So with those 200 lost seasons came the bonanza of Strasburg and Harper. Had the #1 pick in back-to-back drafts, and that's where the rebuilding began.
Well, since Davey Johnson got there, they're 31 games over 500, 128 and 97.
They also got, they were very critical. They got LaRoche back. LaRoche was hurt all most of last year, and he's critical.
Well, they've been able to build a tremendous pitching staff. Made the trade for Gio Gonzalez, which solidified the top of their rotation. Sharp one hopper. Tejada still has time and throws out Suzuki, 2 out. Let's go to the studio and check in with Chris Carlin, who is standing by with this game break. Tightening up by the moment. Here's Lombardozzi, who's 1 for 3.
Never include Milwaukee when we talk about the smaller ballparks. That should be included every single time ball jumps out of there.
It isn't just that Ron makes it look small.
No, I mean he's a fantastic hitter, but
well, as the Brewers continue to heat up, under the radar, Aramis Ramirez has had a spectacular year for them, and that's gone unnoticed maybe until now, with the Brewers starting to contend. Roush gets the next 3 hitters after the Desmond home run. Desmond with his 23rd of the year, and the Nats now with a 2-0 lead as we head for the bottom of the 8th at Citi Field. Brought to you by Hyundai. New Hyundai owners are talking about their cars in the booth. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. And by high yield free checking from Capital One Bank. What's in your wallet? Ryan Matthews pitches the bottom of the 8th inning for Washington.
Well, Ryan Matthews is almost cut from the same cloth as Craig Stammen. Same kind, not as much experience, but a sinker slider pitcher.
Worked a 1-2-3 inning in the first game of the series on Monday. Jordani Valdespin leads off in the home 8th. Valdespin grounded out slowly to third, his only at bat, after taking over for Ronnie Cedeno, whose hamstring tightened up. David Wright on deck, Scott Hairston behind him. Mets have managed just 5 singles tonight. John Ladden went 5 2/3, allowed no runs and 5 hits. Christian Garcia, a third of an inning. Stammen a 1-2-3 7th, and now Matthews working the 8th. 1-2 to Valdespin.
I don't know if Billy Webb can get a shot, but I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher take the sign. It looks like Matthews, like he has a secret or something.
It's like the Cape Crusader or Zorro, or
I am not an animal, the Elephant Man.
A little bit of Andy Pettit, right?
There you go.
Dracula. Never seen that.
Past the glove of Desmond, and a base hit for Valdespin to start the bottom of the 8th. So the Mets have their 6th hit of the night, and they'll get the tying run to the plate in the 8th with David Wright. Well, Sean Burnett, who's been out of action for 10 days because of a sore elbow, is up in the Nationals bullpen, with an eye toward Lucas Duda, who's 2 batters away. David tonight is 2 for 3, 2 singles, and he's also stolen 2 bases. Frank Francisco looking to bounce back from last night's dreadful birthday effort. Now 33 plus a day up in the Mets bullpen. And Wright takes the fastball low for Matthews for ball 1.
Now, Matthews has been pitching well of late, but he is the guy the Mets can get to. He's given up some home runs this year. Struggles a little bit with his control.
And he's behind on Wright 2-0. David's 0 for 4 against Ryan Matthews.
Suzuki's a very hands-on catcher. He's committed several trips to the mound since this whole series. He's really involved with his pitchers.
It's nice for the pitching coach, right? When you don't have to go out there, the catcher takes care of it himself.
Oh boy.
Just a kind of young man that hasn't gotten to the place where he's just calm, cool, and collected. Very energetic, emotional pitcher.
3-0 to David. And he swings and fouls it back. When's the last time you saw David Wright swing 3-0?
He just missed it too.
Well, there's your pitch. Boy, right down the outer half. Big rip from Dave.
But it's another example, isn't it, of David trying to do more than he normally does.
Well, right. He's gotta. I mean,
Desmond to his right, gets the out at second. Lombardozzi takes the hit and turns the double play. 6-4-3 double play, 2 out and nobody on.
Well, David's been doing a lot of rolling over and pulling the ball on the ground in the second half. And that's the big rally killer right there.
That's a thing of beauty. See Lombardozzi, he did not get upended by Valdespin, but he stood in there and was going to take it.
So just like that, 2 out and nobody on. And Scott Hairston the batter. Hairston's 0 for 3 tonight, struck out, grounded out, flied out. Duda would be next. And Matthews behind again, 2-0.
Matthews really fighting himself.
Hairston pounds one straight down, 2-1. Scott homered in each of the first 2 games of this series. It's that one hard. Zimmerman with a nice backhand stop on a ball that was by him. And he throws out Hairston to end the inning. Zimmerman with another spectacular play. Could have been a double. Instead, it turns into the 3rd out.
Wow.
Francisco trying to bounce back from a rather debacle performance last night.
Well, he's got to bounce back for the Mets to have any chance in the 9th inning. They've got to go just down 2.
Now, last night he came into a 1-run game and very quickly made it a 3-run game. Chad Tracy, who had a pinch hit single against Francisco last night, will be the pinch hitter leading off the 9th. Jason Worth and Bryce Harper to follow. The Nats 2 runs and 7 hits, both their runs coming on solo home runs by Zimmerman and Desmond. The Mets no runs and 6 hits. That's in danger of being shut out for the 10th time this season. So here's Tracy, veteran utility man, and he takes a strike. Francisco, the 6th Met pitcher of the night. Matt Harvey, spectacular tonight, 10 strikeouts in 5 innings plus. Jeremy Hefner has been pushed to the bullpen with Henry Mejia moved into the rotation, getting up in case Francisco throws too many pitches here in the 9th. Of course, the Mets do have an off day tomorrow, so you don't get too concerned about Francisco's pitch count. As Tracy flies one down the left field line, and that lands just foul.
It was a little closer to being fair than.
Jeez.
Almost.
Well, considering the fact that Duda was not running hard after that ball at all, he's very fortunate that that ball landed foul. Now Francisco with the 1-2, and Tracy lifts one to right. Out goes Valdespin, and he makes the grab. I didn't think Hairston was going to get there. That's the first out.
Oh, good pitch there by Frankie. Good split finger to get Tracy.
So 1 out of the top of the 9th, and now Jason Worth. Sean Burnett getting up in the bullpen. Tyler Clippard has worked each of the first 2 games of the series, so it looks like Burnett might get the save chance in the 9th with Duda, Shopik, and Davis due up, 2 left-hand hitters sandwiching a right-hand bat. Slider from Francisco. Ball 1 to Worth, who's walked twice in this game and struck out twice. Jason's walked 5 times in the last 2 games, 6 times in the series. And he pops this one up. This one should belong to Valdespin. And there are 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside on pop-ups. Geico Sports Night, the only show that's only New York sports. Tonight after the post game, Jim Calhoun is stepping aside. David Deal will join the guys in the studio. And we'll take a look at Darrelle Revis trying to come back from his concussion on Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game, only on SNY.
Interesting that Burnett's up, right? They have an off day also, Washington.
Well, they've got a big series as they look at it going into Atlanta with a chance to put the Braves away once and for all. So they want Clippard, I would imagine, fully rested and ready. Harper's 0 for 3 in a sacrifice tonight. And he takes a splitter for ball 1.
Doesn't always hit it hard, but he's got a stance that looks like he's going to hit it hard every single time.
It's like he's corkscrewed.
Yeah, exactly.
He hasn't really got a classic swing like the other guy out there in California, Mike Trout. But he squares it up.
He's going to be one of those players here in the National League that you don't leave your seat when he comes up to the plate in the years to come.
We've got a few guys like that in this Nationals lineup right now.
Where's that?
Joe West somehow judged that a ball. 3-1.
It's a good pitch. It should be a strike. Almost the heart of the plate. Dismissed.
That's a strike. Most standards. Now a full count to Harper. Ryan Zimmerman would be next.
He pulls off a little bit. That's why he's angry at himself. Just that shoulder flies open. An open stance. You have a slightly open stance. You can get into that habit of pulling off a little bit. And he's not much, but that's the difference. Really got to keep that front shoulder tucked in and drive at the pitcher.
Harper pops one up in foul ground. Right racing over to the railing, and it runs out of room.
David's played all 27 outs tonight, hasn't he? A couple hits, couple stolen bases. Nice to see.
He's gone through a few of these late seasons where there's not a whole lot to play for. I don't think he's ever left anything but a best effort on the field. Again, the 3-2. And Harper smacks one to center, but it'll stay true for Torres. You can't hit a ball much harder than that.
Jeez.
A seed that never got more than about 10 feet off the ground. 1-2-3 inning for Francisco. We go to the bottom of the ninth. It's 2-0. By AT&T, rethink possible. By Buffalo Wild Wings. Tune into Beer Money on SNY, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, your home for wings, beer, sports. And by Cadillac. Last of the ninth, and Sean Burnett, who hasn't pitched in 10 days because of elbow soreness, will try for his third save of the year.
Well, he's a big part of that bullpen. He's had a couple of bouts of it. They've tried to rest him, and now finally good to go.
We'll face Lucas Duda leading off in the last of the ninth. Mets down 2-0, and that crossfire delivery in for a strike. Duda has a single and a walk tonight, 1 for 2.
Burnett's got good stuff, and then like Gary said, he throws steps kind of towards the first base dugout and crossfires, comes across his body.
Line drive, base hit for Duda, and the Mets have life in the ninth inning. The tying run will come to bat. So Burnett, who had not pitched since the 2nd of September, his last two outings, September 1st and 2nd, he had blown saves in both those games against the Cardinals, and that's when they shut him down. And now he gives up a leadoff base hit to Duda, who's 2 for 3.
A couple of hits and a walk for Duda playing first base.
And all of that against left-hand pitching.
I don't think they want to work Clippard tonight. He worked the first 2 games in this series. They're going to have they've worked Storen twice.
So Storen's up in the bullpen now. Shopik the batter, 1 for 2. He was hit by pitches last time up. Tying run at the plate in a 2-0 game. And Kelly takes a fastball for a strike. Ike Davis is the on-deck batter. Ike came up as a pinch hitter in the 8th, stayed in the game. Each team now with 7 hits, but all 7 of the Mets hits have been singles. And that's with 2 solo home runs. So far, that's been enough. And Shopik chases a pitch out of the strike zone, and it's 0-2. Shopik with 8 home runs for the year, 3 as a Met in 46 at bats. And Shopik is out on 3 pitches. That's the first out in the last of the 9th.
Well, he just lives on that outside corner. 3 perfect pitches on the knees, outside corner. That one a little more elevated.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Ike Davis. Ike 2 hits in 7 career at bats against Sean Burnett. He came up with the bases loaded and 2 out of the 6th, and hit a liner to center that Harper went back and caught. Ike has been swinging the bat so well the second half of the year. 26 home runs for the year. And he takes the breaking ball at his feet for ball 1.
One thing when you throw across your body like Burnett, tend to on the breaking ball sometimes leave that little spinner inside.
Andres Torres on deck. And that just missed. 2-0 to Davis. Dude at first with 1 out, and Davis takes inside, and now Burnett is behind 3-0.
Well, do you give Ike a hit sign?
We saw David Wright swing 3-0 in the last inning.
I would let him swing.
Taking a strike, 3-1.
Well, now it's up to Burnett just to keep the ball away here.
Andres Torres, who has been very successful as a right-hand batter, waiting on deck. And another strike, 3-2. Check swing foul. Ike asking Joe West whether that pitch was a strike.
Lucky he got his bat on that one.
Slider. Staying with that sinker.
3-2 from Burnett, and Davis grounds one down to first. LaRoche will take it to the bag for the second out. Duda moves to second, but now the Mets are down to their final out of the night. So here is Torres, 1 for 3 on the night. He's had 2 at bats as a right-hand batter tonight, and both times hit the ball hard, lined out to left and single to right. Daniel Murphy with a bat in his hands and a helmet on his head, but it's Justin Turner who's out on deck to pinch hit. As Torres takes up and away for ball 1.
If it was 1-0, you might see Storen in against Torres. Both his home runs are against from the left side. Davey staying with his left-hander.
Torres with 1 hit and 4 career at bats against Burnett. And he lines a base hit. Judah will go to third and stop there. And now the Mets have the tying runs on base. So Torres, as a right-hand batter, a useful weapon, and he keeps the game alive. And now Justin Turner will pinch hit.
Well, right down the pipe, no sink. High fastball, belt high. And that's one thing that Torres does, and that's why he's had success from the right side of the plate this year, that he's stayed very level. He's not a power hitter.
So now Turner is announced as a pinch hitter. Of course, if they make the move to the right-hander, the Mets will respond with Daniel Murphy. And in fact, Murph's already moving to the on-deck circle as Davey Johnson makes his way out to the mound. And the sign has gone out to the bullpen, and Drew Storen is going to come in and try and get the final out. So it'll be Storen to come in, Murphy to pinch hit. Mets down 2-0 in the ninth with the tying runs aboard. We'll be right back. Nailed down a victory for Lannon. Drew Storen, who had 43 saves last year, back in a familiar role.
Well, isn't that the luxury to have a guy like Clippard who's had a fantastic year, but you're not going to use him this evening, and you get to go to Storen in his first full year, as Gary mentioned, those 43 saves.
Duda is at third, Torres at first, carrying the tying run with 2 out. Daniel Murphy, the pinch hitter. Murphy held out of the lineup tonight because of a little back stiffness. 1 for 3 last night. He's been the Mets' hottest hitter during this difficult stretch where they've had trouble scoring runs. And Storen's first offering is up and away to Murphy for ball 1. If Murphy keeps it going, Ruben Tejada would be next.
Boy, Storen takes a long time to deliver the ball to the plate. Think Torres can mark him?
Very deep in the outfield, no doubles, shaded to the opposite field for Murph.
It would be huge if Torres could steal that base, get that tying run to second. And he takes off early, gets a huge jump, and Murphy lifts it out to center, and Harper is right there and puts it away, and the ball game is over. The Mets are shut out for the 10th time this year, the 6th time since the All-Star break, and for the 2nd time since the All-Star break, the Mets finish an 0-6 homestand as the Nationals complete the sweep with a 2-0 win.
Davey with that big smile. 14 wins by the Washington Nationals over the Mets this year. 8 in a row. Desmond with the big home run to get it to 2. Run deficit, and Harvey an outstanding effort, not enough though.
And the Mets, I guess the only thing you can say positively, they out-hit the Nationals, but it's all about the runs, and you know, what can you say? This is a very dismal homestand. It's on to Milwaukee. A nice job by Matt Harvey. A tough loss.
Harvey deserved better. Struck out 10 in 5 innings plus, but suffers the loss in his second to last start of the year. This game summary brought to you by New York Community Bank. John Lyman comes home and gets his 3rd win in 3 starts for the Nationals this year as Washington wins it tonight 2-0. Friday night, the Mets begin their road trip in Milwaukee. They'll have Jonathan Neese on the mound, 7:30 the coverage right here on SNY. Now for Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason post-game live. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda in the studio. Take it away.